Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to day 4 of the World Rowing Under-23 Championships from Racice here in the northern Czech Republic. We're actually sort of in a bend of the Elbe River here. It's a fabulous location, and the weather today, absolutely stunning. Brilliant sunshine. It's going to get up to about 25 degrees Celsius today. A gentle kind of wind coming from the west. The course runs southwest to northeast, so westerly is sort of there. So it will give the crews a little bit of a tailwind, and we had a bit of that yesterday. The wind really picked up, though, throughout the course of the day, and the water got a little bit lumpy. But I think today it's just going to be superb conditions here. We've got our first A finals today, so a lot to look forward to. And in fact, there's been huge anticipation surrounding this event because of everything that happened last year and all the cancellations. Some 800 athletes from around 50 countries have gathered here, with Paris 2024 providing quite some incentive for them. Racing gets underway at 9:30 with the E-final of the men's single sculls. The E-finals, D-finals and so on are for the lower placing, so everyone gets a ranking at these events. And we'll move through the D and C finals as well. And then at around 10:50 this morning, the first of our semi-finals will be in the lightweight women's single sculls. That will take us through to the end of the morning session at around 1 o'clock local time. And this afternoon we'll get underway with the B finals at 2:30, and then from 3:05 this afternoon, the first of our medal races, our A finals. We've got 9 in total, with the last one heading off at about 5 o'clock. My name's Rob Curling. I'm the English-speaking, you may have noticed, tower announcer here at the finish line. Alongside me is Mira Lenz, who's from the Czech Republic, and I'm going to try and say it properly this morning. Dobré ráno, Mira.
Dobré ráno.
Dobré ráno would have been better still.
It was perfect.
Thank you. Thank you, Mira.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Krásné ráno všem divákům a fanouškům. Začíná 4. den světového šampionátu ve veslování pro rok 2021. Jsme moc rádi, že jste součástí mistrovství světa, které se opět vrátilo do České republiky, konkrétně do Račic. Labe Arena je přichystaná i se skvělými podmínkami a se skvělým počasím. 4. den, a to znamená, že už se dnes dostaneme také k finálovým jízdám. První finálové jízdy, tedy souboj o zlaté, stříbrné a bronzové medaile, přijde na řadu v 15 hodin a 5 minut. My ale začínáme společně s Robem, také s Catherine a Scullin, už v 9 hodin a 30 minut, a to konkrétně s kifem mužů a finálovými jízdy s označením E, to znamená souboj o 25. a 29. místo. V průběhu dnešního celého dne budeme sledovat nejenom finálovky, které jsou označeny jako C, D a nebo E, a také samozřejmě Ačkové finále o medaile od 15 hodin a 5 minut, jak už jsem připomínal, a rozhodně se k tomu budeme dál vracet v průběhu ranního i dopoledního programu, ale také se dostaneme k semifinálovým jízdám, které jsou velmi důležité i z pohledu českých závodnic a českých závodníků, protože dohromady posádek nominoval Český veslařský svaz hned 13 na tento šampionát a na mistrovství světa v kategorii do 23 let pro rok 2021. Jsme moc rádi, že jste společně s vámi, dobře se bavte, a v tuto chvíli dostává opět slovo Rob. Rob, your word.
Děkuji, Mira. Thank you very much indeed. Well, I don't know what you said, but I bet it was brilliant.
Thank you.
I'm sure it was. We've got just under 5 minutes till the first race gets underway. Just gives us a chance to speak to our guest here today, who's Barbara Groot, who's from the Fairness Commission. Barbara, really good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Just explain what the Fairness Commission does, what it is.
Yeah, so the Fairness Commission's primary duty is to monitor safety and fairness at the regattas. So we look at the daily weather reports that we receive throughout the day, and we compare that to what's actually happening at the venue. So people will see us around the course on our bicycles or in boats, checking the weather with our anemometers, measuring wind speed, wind direction, measuring from one side of the course to the other to make sure that the lanes are as fair as possible in our outdoor sport during the event. So athletes will see these up at the start, they'll see us around, and if their lane changes, it's because of the wind conditions that we're seeing in the moment.
Yeah, just to explain to people who may be fairly new to rowing, it is generally regarded that the centre lanes are the favoured lanes for the teams that will perhaps have got the quickest time in qualifying will take up the centre lanes. But sometimes, if there's a crosswind, that could change where the preferred lanes are. It's a slightly contentious issue, isn't it? I know.
It generally is, but I would say the general principle is that we try to make everything, we don't try to favor a crew, we try to least favor a crew. So if the conditions are strong, we'll put everyone in the conditions. We won't protect anybody, we'll try to give everybody the most fair, the most equal conditions possible.
So today we've got a westerly wind, breeze. I mean, it's not going to be too strong, so that's blowing pretty much tailwind for the course, but just a little to one side. So what are your thoughts with that?
I think the athletes will see for this morning's session that we'll just stay in the middle, nothing dramatic. This is a pretty standard condition, and they'll just be shifted one lane away from the wind.
Yeah. Do the teams generally accept your decisions? Do they even get a choice not to?
We'd like to believe that they understand we're doing the best we can to provide their athletes the best opportunity. It's never perfect, but it's an outdoor sport.
Of course. And Barbara, I have to ask you one final question. We're in the same hotel. We introduced you to the Euro Championships the other night with England against Denmark in the semi-finals. Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed that very much.
That is the correct answer. Well done. Rather contentious penalty for England, actually, late on, which gave them the win, which probably should have gone to the Fairness Commission. Barbara, thank you very much. Have a great couple of days left here. We are almost ready for racing to get underway. So let's get up to the tower and our commentary team of Colleen Saville and Kat Holloway.
Good morning, Rob. Thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. Isn't it a nice morning here in Racice at this rowing course for the first day of finals here at the Under-23 World Championships 2021. I'm Kat Holloway. I'll be performing the race commentary, and alongside me is Colleen Saville.
Yes, a very good morning. Thank you so much, Kat, and thank you, Rob and Mira. We've had a fabulous racing this week, haven't we, Kat? So incredible heats earlier in the week, exciting repechage, and some quarterfinals yesterday. We'll see a bit more of that today of the semifinals. But today we do kick off with our finals. It's an exciting day, and you know, as we take a look, then we're back up at the start for the men's single sculls.
So our very first final of the regatta. Here we have a 5-boat final for the E-final of the men's single sculls. Lane 1 is Ukraine's Mykolai Vashilovek. We see him there on screen. Alongside him is Uzbekistan's Davyon Davronov. Just the scullers making their final adjustments as they're waiting under starters' orders. Lane 3 is Cristian Vasile Nicuara of Romania. Lane 4, Goran Mahmutovic of Croatia. And lane 5, Ricardo Buehi for the Côte d'Ivoire. And the scullers have moved away from the start, a clean start across the board. And we're seeing some high ratings off the start here, Colleen.
Yeah, aren't we? Croatia, it's a good start for Croatia. He's off the line at 45, 46 strokes per minute. Romania as well, still up at that 46, but it's an early advantage for Croatia. And as you can see in your picture, he's in fact gotten just about a length over the full field cat, and that's just in the first 20 or so strokes.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic start here for Goran Mahmutovic of Croatia. He's come into this final with one of the faster qualifying times through the repechages. He's got experience racing at junior level. He had an 11th place finish in the junior men's quads in 2018, and he raced as well at senior level in the men's double sculls earlier this season in the European Championships in Racice. So real experience in this Croatian boat, and he's got to be pleased with this start to get such an advantage as he comes through 300 metres.
Yeah, and it's so important, of course, in these sculling boats, and especially in a single, I think, to get that advantage over the field when you can and be able to really survey the entire field just by having a look up and sort of being able to see where everyone is. There's an advantage there, I think. He's still holding on to that advantage, but he'll have to look out for a charging Uzbekistan out of lane 2 as well as Romania out of lane 3. It's getting a bit tighter here as we move through the second quarter.
Yeah, I see that, Colleen. He's got this advantage being able to see the other scullers in his line of sight. The ratings so far from the Croatian sculler in the lead, he's settled into 34 strokes a minute. The sculler from Uzbekistan just behind him at 32 strokes a minute. Also up there with these two scullers is the Romanian Cristian Vasile Nicuara. These three scullers coming through that 500-metre mark with just a second and a half separating them. So this, the E-final of the men's single sculls. We're looking to confirm places 25 to 29 in the regatta. Here riding again with Goran Mahmutovic of Croatia. Really nice, clean sculling from him. He moves on really well through the stroke, good clean extractions. Nice long arms through that stroke, hanging off, levering through the water. And coming up now is Romania's Cristian Vasile Nicuara. He's pushed through the sculler from Uzbekistan and into that second place.
Yeah, it looks like then he's making a run for the Croatian sculler. They're moving then at fairly similar speeds, and it's Croatia with just about a beat or so higher than the Romanian sculler. But as we approach that halfway point, you can see the field separated by about a half a length between our three leaders. Of course, Kat, this is their last race of the regatta, so they'll be putting everything on the line. No doubt they've been doing that all week, but there's something a little extra special, I think, when you come into that last race. So as we move into the second half, we'll see if Croatia can hold.
Yeah, absolutely right. This is the last race of the regatta. This is their final, their opportunity to do everything they can to post their fastest time to get the highest possible ranking in this championships. And the Croatian sculler had that great start, and he's managed to hold that really well through this first half of the race. Solid rhythm from him, and that's going to take him through this intermediate timing marker, still ahead of the scullers from Romania and Uzbekistan. So through 1,000 meters, just half a length separating those first two sculls. We see the Romanian and the Croatian just moving a little further ahead of the sculler from Uzbekistan, Davrion Davronov. That's the 1, 2, 3. Back in fourth place is the sculler of Ukraine and the Ivory Coast sculler Ricardo Buhe in fifth place.
Now, we saw a great start from the Croatian sculler. Of course, he still leads. He took it through the halfway point, now into the third quarter. But such a quick start off the line. And I think at this critical moment in the race, the third 500, that's just so painful coming out of that first half of the race. We'll see if he can really hold off the Romanian sculler. He's doing a good job of it now at about 35 strokes per minute and moving through the water just a bit quicker than Romania. So perhaps he's got a little bit of an answer, but no doubt he can see that threat coming from Romania.
So the Romanian sculler, Cristian Vasile Nicuara, he's just 18 years of age, making his international debut here at this championships. He came through the repechage with the fastest qualifying time, posting 7:21.91. That was a faster time than Goran Mahmutovic, who currently leads this race. So perhaps it's an indication we might see a sprint from the Romanian sculler in the final stages. He's still in touch, just a length back from the Croatian.
And a nice look at the field then as they prepare to come into the last quarter of the race. It's got to feel pretty good for the Croatian sculler at the moment. Again, we saw over the past couple of 100 meters, maybe a little bit of a response to the charging Romanian. He's now separated by open water, just barely. Coming into the last 500, positions staying pretty consistent with what we've seen over the last several hundred meters. Croatia still leads. Romania running second, but just barely able to maintain contact. Then it's over to Uzbekistan and then the Ukraine and then over to the Ivory Coast. Less than 500 meters to go.
Into this final quarter now, and the Croatian really used that third quarter to solidify his position. He can see now he's got clear water over the rest of the field, and we just see him starting to take the rate up as he comes in nearer to the line. 37 strokes a minute now from the Croatian. The graphic I've got alongside me is telling me he's the fastest moving boat on the course still. And so I imagine as we pan out, we'll see how the clear water back to the Romanian is increasing here as they move into the closing stages. So Rob, he's led since the very first stroke, this Croatian sculler. Goran Mahmutovic, fantastic scull from him. He's coming in towards the finish line, looking to take this 25th place in the Under-23 World Championships.
Yes, and he's extended that lead, as you say, throughout these closing stages. Really, from sort of 1,000 meters onwards, he's pushed further and further ahead of Nicuara of Romania. But those look like the 1, 2, 3s being Croatia, Romania and Uzbekistan.
V souboji v tuto chvíli sledujeme čtvrtého dne mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let. Skiff mužů finále E, to znamená o 25. až 29. místo. Goran Mahmutovic z Chorvatska jede zatím suverénně. Na všech mezičasech byl na prvním místě a i z pohledu z komentátorské věže jasným způsobem vidíme, že několik desítek metrů před cílovou linií je suverénně na první pozici právě tohoto Ečkového finále.
So the final few meters now coming up. Welcome sight, I'm sure, for these athletes as Mamutovic of Croatia in lane 4 crosses the line to take first place in this E-final of the men's singles sculls. Very tight for second and third. Second going the way of Uzbekistan's Davronov. In terms of third and fourth, might just wait for final confirmation of that one.
Počkáme si na potvrzení těsného dojezdu mezi druhým a třetím místem. Goran Mahmutovič na první pozici 7 minut 8 vteřin a 52 setin. Bez jakýchkoliv debat je vítězem právě téhleté jízdy. Mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let. Davronov z Uzbekistánu na druhém místě. Rumun Nikoara na třetí pozici. Následuje na čtvrté pozici Ukrajinec a závěrečné páté místo. Za malou chvíli uvidíte také na obrazovce kompletní výsledky finále E skifu mužů.
Well, there is confirmation on your screens then. Goran Mamutovic of Croatia in first. Davronov in second place from Uzbekistan. Nikoara of Romania dropping back to third, just ahead of Vasiljevic of Ukraine in fourth. So on to our second race of day 4. It's the D final of the men's double sculls. Just 2 crews contesting this for places 19 and 20, with Slovakia in lane 1, Estonia alongside them in lane 2. Kat and Colleen, this is going to be a lovely little race, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, Rob, and it's interesting because, as you rightly say, there's just 2 boats, and so it's a bit of a different strategy, I think, in these dual races where, you know, we chatted in the last race in the single how there's such an advantage to being in front, not just because that's where you want to be, but also because you can kind of survey the field, and I think that becomes even more important in these dual races because if you lose sight of your competitor, it's really hard to get a sense of where they are. So the advantage now to Estonia, they've done just that, and it's perhaps not surprising. They posted the faster time of the Racice times, quite a bit faster than Slovakia. So I think for them coming off the line, the idea is just to get out ahead, to maintain their rhythm, and to post the fastest possible time that they can.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. We're zooming in here on the Slovakian crew. So they're the crew with no sight of what's happening in the race in front of them. They'll know from the times previously that this would be the likely case during this race. And it's a great opportunity for them to race in these fabulous conditions, championships conditions, get some experience down the course against other international competition and maybe look for a personal best time within their crew, use the motivation they can around them. So with just 2 boats, here we have Estonia leading the way. They're at 33 strokes a minute, moving the boat on really nicely as they come through 1,500 meters.
Yeah, that's right. They're now through that 500 to go, and you can see now in the picture that Slovakia just behind them crossing into the final 500. This duo from Slovakia, they came onto the international scene earlier this season. They took 14th overall in Zagreb at World Cup 1. So they've got a bit of experience racing together, have been building speed, I'm sure, throughout the season. And again, their last race in the regatta, Rob, as they come through the final 250 or just shy of it.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed, Colin. Interesting to hear your thoughts on tactics in a 2-boat race, because as you say, you don't necessarily have a sighting of any of the other crews here, but it's looking like it's Estonia's race to lose here. A good 6.5 second gap opening up between them and Slovakia.
V tuto chvíli vidíme souboj 2 posádek ve finále D, to znamená opět okolo 20. místa se budeme pohybovat právě mezi těmito reprezentanty. Vidíme tam Estonce a také slovenskou dvojici, konkrétně Tomáše Andu a Jakuba Herhornka. To jsou závodníci, kteří v tuto chvíli jedou na druhé pozici, ztráceli 6 vteřin a 25 setin na 15 metrech. To je ten třetí mezičas, který máme k dispozici. Vypadá to, že v této jízdě si dojedou pro první místo Estonci, kterým už zbývá zhruba posledních 80 metrů.
So Netsayev and Goncharov of Estonia. Just the final few strokes now as they head down towards the finish line and the end of their under-23 championships here. Great row from them and a final push as well from the Slovakian team, Thomas Ander and Jakub Heronek. A terrific effort to come home in second place for placings 19 and 20 overall in the men's double sculls.
V tuto chvíli potvrzeno, jelo se o 19. a 20. místo světového šampionátu kategorie do 23 let. Na 19. místě tedy Estonci, dvojice Tomáš Anda a Jakub Herhonek. To jsou závodníci reprezentující Slovensko, kteří berou 20. místo. V tuto chvíli je také můžeme vidět. Závodníci, kteří tedy v této disciplíně obsadili 20. místo na světovém šampionátu.
Just getting underway now in the D final of the men's single sculls with Andrei Pinto of Portugal in lane 1, Eduardo Rocchi of Italy in lane 2. Ivan Korsunov of Moldova is in 3. In lane 4 for Cyprus, Racice Andrei Nahita. In lane 5 for Norway, Matthias Wee. And rowing for Latvia in lane 6 is Yanis Timbors. Very early stages of this one. How do you see it, Kat and Colleen?
Thanks, Rob. We're looking at the boats coming off the start. An absolutely flying start for Cyprus's Rares Andrei Nikita. 52 strokes a minute out of the blocks for him. It gave him an early lead, but that's been overhauled in the last few strokes by Latvia's Yanis Timbors. Yanis Timbors settling into a rhythm at 34 strokes a minute. He's in lane 6. That's furthest from the camera if you're watching this online at home. Through this first quarter of the race, he leads the way.
Yeah, it's a nice look then for Latvia on the far side, able to just get his bow out just barely ahead. But yes, have to agree with you, Kat, an incredible start from Cyprus. He's perhaps paying for it just a little bit now, although I must say, I mean, it's a beautiful picture here. They're so tightly packed. Nearly all of these crews just level as they move into the middle thousand and past the first quarter.
Yeah, it's a really even first quarter here from these boats. Coming through 500 metres, it is the Latvian who just takes the first timing point there, ahead of the Norwegian, just 0.05 of a second separating them. The Latvian sculler in the outside lane was one of the slower qualifiers for this race, but he's making a great show of this first half of the race. The Norwegian alongside them, who's just fighting for first position now, Matthias Foyner. He took part in the previous Under-23 World Championships in the pair in that event. They finished in 11th place. So in the B final that time around, and he's switched into sculling and just takes the lead now, coming through the second quarter ahead of Latvia's Yanis Timbors.
And a nice push from Norway then, able to get his bow just barely ahead. Of course, all of these crews ever so close. And as we've been commentating, they're just changing positions as they move through the 750-meter mark. It is now Cyprus who takes it back from Norway. I had my eye on him because he started to pick it up over the last 10, 15 strokes or so, Kat, and clearly he's in some kind of a move.
Yeah, he's moving on here. He's just edged his bow ball in front. Silver medalist, 7th place from the Junior World Championships in 2019 in the single scull. So experienced racing at international level. And he's moving on really nicely now through this second quarter, just holding on to the lead, really tight here still across the board. Eduardo Rocchi of Italy also up there fighting for this first place with the sculler from Cyprus. Really tight racing coming through 1,000 metres.
I think one of the incredible things about being in this moment is not quite knowing who's leading and who's behind. You may well be leading, but not be able to totally confirm that when it's just ever so close. So, an incredible moment as they cross into the second half. At the moment, though, it's Moldova just barely with his bow ahead.
Yeah, the Moldovan sculler, Ivan Korsunov, takes that timing point. He comes through to take the lead. Rate of striking 33 strokes a minute. This beautiful flat water, making nice conditions for sculling this morning. He's just got a canvas lead here over the sculler in lane 2. That's Italy's Eduardo Rocchi. Really exciting racing in this D final of the men's single sculls. We're looking to establish places 19 through to 24 in the championships, and this looks to be a really strong move from Moldovan sculler Ivan Korsunov.
Yeah, what a nice press from him through the 1,000. Now into the third quarter, building speed. So he wasn't necessarily the quickest off the line or in the first 500 meters, but establishing just a good rhythm and a lot of power. He's at about 32 strokes per minute, so a little bit longer than some of the other competitors, certainly Italy, who's up at 35 out of lane 2. But he's getting it done through the water. You can just see the leverage on the blade as he swings back and he's able to press himself forward. So as he approaches the 500-meter mark to go, can he break into clear water from the rest of the field. He'll have to look out, though, for Italy, Kat, as the Italian sculler comes down.
Yeah, Edoardo Rocchi from Italy is making his move now. His rate up at 35 strokes a minute. He's been tracking alongside Ivan Korshunov from Moldova in that second place. He was half a length down. He's just trying to squeeze that margin down and make a move on the Moldovan sculler. But the Moldovan is not letting him come through at this stage. They're moving into this last quarter of the race now. Moldova's Ivan Korshunov was leading through the 1,000-meter mark. Coming through 500, he was back in fifth. He worked his way up to lead through 1,000, and he's going to go through 1,500 again in the lead. The Italian still chasing him, just 1.5 seconds behind. And third place now is Portugal's André Pinto. He's worked his way up through the field from a 6th place at 500 meters.
Yeah, really interesting strategies, isn't it? Several of these scullers then kind of starting to build momentum in the body of the race, and certainly in that critical third 500 meters. That's certainly the case for Moldova. Again, he has just a shy of a 1 length advantage over the Italian. So a bit of an answer, I think, over the last 10 or 20 strokes just to press him back. So it's Moldova holding the lead.
Yeah, I'm keeping a close eye on Pinto as well in lane 1, because he seems to be making a real push here, a real effort to try and impose himself on this race. And it may well get past Rocchi in second, but it's still Korshunov of Moldova up in front.
Ivan Korshunov, který reprezentuje 3,5 milionu Velké Moldavsko anebo také republiku, je v tuto chvíli na první pozici. Tohle to bude ale poměrně ještě hodně těsné, co se týká téhleté jízdy. Třeba i o 2., 3. nebo 4. místo na posledním mezičase naprosto minimální rozestupy. Stále ale platí, že Ivan Korshunov je nejrychlejší v téhleté jízdě, i když teď pěkně nabírá Ital Edoardo Rocchi. Tak uvidíme, jak to vypadá v posledních desítkách metrů.
Well, there's a lot changing here in this race, and everyone is now breaking free. The challenge is really on here. A complete change in the lineup, but it looks like Korshunov is just going to hold on to first place. Second place could well go into lane 5, and that's Norway's We. And in third place, it looks like it is André Pinto from Portugal. Fantastic racing from everyone here. But first, second, third, fourth, terrific performance. Really going for it in those closing stages. I will confirm those finishing spots then, with Korshunov of Moldova in first place, Norway's We in second, and Pinto coming home in third. Just.
Matyas vyjel naprosto skvěle poslední 500, protože ještě na 15 stovce byl až na 4. místě. Nakonec se posunul na 2. pozici o 1 vteřinu a 2 desetiny za Ivana Korshunova z Moldavska, který nakonec tedy udržel 1. místo. Na 3. pozici Portugalec, Ital jako 4. Zástupci dalších zemí na 5. a 6. místě. Tak jak teď můžeme vidět také jednotlivé rozestupy. Čas vítěze finále D 7 minut 6 vteřin a 38 setin.
We now have another 2-boat race, the D final of the women's single sculls, with Alexandra Camila Ionel of Romania in lane 1 and Darin Mahmoud Mohammed of Egypt in lane 2. So we talked about 2-boat racing tactics a little bit earlier on. How do you approach a race like this, Colleen?
Yeah, well, I think, again, it makes the start just even more important. That's always a critical part of the race, but it makes the first 500-meter stretch, I think, even more important, both from a psychological standpoint and then, of course, having a clean start, having a quick start, and getting off the line. I think in this race, as we move into the second quarter, through that 500-meter mark, of course, it's Romania leading, as we can see in our picture. It's Egypt just behind. It's a little bit surprising to me, Kat, because Egypt in the last round posted the faster time.
Yeah, we saw those times from the previous round, maybe indicating things might be reversed. But here we have Romania's Alexandra Cornelia Ionel leading the way. It's her international debut, so first time she's raced in the championships, and she's moving this boat on really well. A solid 30 strokes a minute, and a big gap back to the Egyptian sculler. She's not being pressed hard here. Now, Egypt's Darin Mahmoud Mohammed, we've seen her on the international circuit over the last few years. She was at the Youth Olympic Games in 2018 with a 17th place finish. At the Junior World Championships the following year, 37th place. And she's also been on the senior circuit earlier in this year in the Egyptian women's quad. We saw them race in Sabaudi and they had 11th place finish there. So great deal of international experience coming from the Egyptian sculler. But coming into these closing stages, it's been the case the whole way down the course. We're seeing Romania's Alexandra Alexandra Cornelia Jonel leading the way in this D final of the women's single sculls. So they're coming into the last 150 metres now, separating the crews. I can see on the screen in front of me there's a reasonable gap, 39 metres in fact, between the two crews. Neither of them have started their sprint now. They've got about 100 metres to go to the line, Rob, and it's going to be a win for Romania, but let's see how she takes this through to the line.
Yes, thanks very much indeed, Kat. Coming through, it took me rather by surprise. I thought they were further up the course, but here they are, making their way down smoothly, as you say, in really perfect conditions for sculling. Through the line then is Jonel of Romania to take that 19th spot overall in the women's single sculls, and Mahmoud Mohammed of Egypt coming home to take second place, 20th place overall.
V předcházejících minutách jsme viděli finále D skifu žen o 19. a 20. místo. V téhleté jízdě vyhrála Rumunka Alexandra Cornelia Jonelová, na druhém místě Egypťanka Mohamed Mahmudová. To byla závodnice, která na posledním světovém poháru obsadila 11. místo. Teď ji můžeme tedy spatřit a sledovat na druhém místě této jízdy. Rumunka první, Egypťanka na druhém místě, tedy ve skifu žen na 19. a celkově 20. pozici.
Just a short break in proceedings now before the next race, which gets underway at 10 o'clock this morning local time. That's in about 7 minutes' time, which will be the C-final of the men's four.
Po několika minutové odmlce se vrátíme tak, abychom mohli opět startovat další jízdy světového šampionátu ve veslování kategorie do 23 let, konkrétně v 10 hodin. Za necelých 15 minut, teď už mnohem dříve, konkrétně za 6 minut se tedy vracíme s dalšími závodníky a posádkami světového šampionátu.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have the start lining up here for the C final of the men's four, with the USA in lane one, Andrew Curry, Louis Gallia, Jordan Backer, Andrew Curry, and William Rosler in the bow seat for the USA. In lane two for Hungary, Ikonchik, the Kirali brothers, and Juháš. That's Thomas Juháš at stroke. For Brazil in lane three, Lima, Duarte, Radman, and Solari is stroking the Brazilian boat. The Dutch crew in lane four. In the bow seat for them, Schwartz. In the two-seat, Boss. Grensveld in three. And Jena Benema at stroke for the Netherlands. And in lane five for Austria, Reininger, Karlovsky, Haider, and Schuckert, stroking the Austrian crew. So that's the lineup. Lane one, USA, two, Hungary, three, Brazil, Netherlands in four, Austria in five. Hungary received a yellow card, by the way, for being late at the start. Tut-tut. Mira, anything you'd like to add?
Vracíme se zpátky, a to konkrétně do souboje o 13. až 17. místo. Čtyřka bez kormidelníka. Jízda, která odstartovala před několika vteřinami, a budeme opět sledovat celou jízdu.
Thank you, Mira. So they're underway then in this C final for placings 13 through to 17 in the men's four. Let's get the views of Kat and Colleen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rob and Mira. It's a great start for Hungary, isn't it? They're leading, they're out ahead, of course, still very tightly packed. You know, I'm particularly excited about this race because the times were fairly close when we compare the repechage. So amongst this crew, it was the Netherlands who had the fastest time in the first rep. Hungary was there with them. They were a couple seconds behind. Brazil with a close time as well. And I think there's evidence of that, isn't there, Kat, as they move through the first quarter of this race? A great sight.
Yeah, absolutely fantastically close in this first part of the race. We're looking at four crews here. We've got Austria in the top of the pitch, the Netherlands, Brazil and Hungary. The USA have just dropped a little bit back in this early stage. They're just off camera to the right-hand side, but still in touch with the race. But looking at these four crews, we see the Netherlands just emerging now with their bow ball ahead. The early leaders, Hungary, have slipped back into second place. I think the Netherlands are going to come through to take this first timing marker, but it's so tight through this first quarter, pretty much even along the board. The Netherlands just taking that by 0.13 of a second.
Yeah, a nice look then at the times on the graphic as they come through that first checkpoint. In the prior round, it was also the Netherlands who were the quickest to get to that 500-meter push, and as we mentioned, also the quickest overall in the repechage. A great look then for the Netherlands. Again, just a barely a lead, and they'll have to keep an eye on Hungary. Hungary on the move as we look over. Hungary's at 40 strokes per minute. All of these crews not afraid to use the stroke rate that they need to keep that advantage. Brazil up at 39, the Netherlands up at 38. But we can see now just barely out of lane 4. That's the Netherlands starting to make a bit of a statement as they move through the 750.
Yeah, the Dutch have moved on really nicely through that 250 metres, taking more of an advantage over the crews alongside them. And the crew that's gone with them at this stage is Hungary, that high-rating Hungarian crew. They've moved up with the Netherlands. They were stroke for stroke alongside Brazil for much of that first quarter. And the last 200 metres has just given them a chance to move on up. So the Netherlands, that great fluid Dutch style, they're not using a great deal of body swing. They're using the legs, pressing really well. And the Hungarians still using the rate, still using their body swing. And these two crews emerging in first and second place, just ahead of Austria now in third, who've moved up ahead of Brazil.
And they're coming then through that halfway point. And yes, you know, nice rhythm out of the Dutch crew, getting it done with power and now settling into about a 37 or so a little bit lower than the rest of the competitors on the field. That's a look then at the USA, the only crew just slightly off the pace out of lane 1. This is a young crew, all of them making their international debut. And in fact, all of the crew members either 18 or 19 years of age. So fantastic to see them here. A nice look though at the top of the field. Hungary with a bit of a push, and it's in fact Hungary who leads as we move through the third quarter.
Yeah, what a great race we're seeing here. The Hungarians had that really fast start and then dropped a little bit back in the pack, and they're just starting to make this move now on the Netherlands. This is really effective for them. They're coming through the Dutch. They've got 750 metres to go. They'll be wanting to hold this advantage and take the win. So we're looking for places 13 to 18 to be established here in this race. The Dutch and the Hungarians now with clear water over the rest of the field. It's looking good for them for that first and second place in this race. Back behind them, there's going to be another battle for third between Brazil and Austria. The Netherlands responding now, Colleen.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, isn't it? So the Netherlands and the Hungarians, they're moving similar speeds through the water, but Hungary's having to work for it a little bit more. They're now up at 41 strokes per minute, while the Netherlands maintains that 37. So incredibly high stroke ratings all around, but what that means is that the Netherlands likely has somewhere to go in their sprint. So as we approach the final stretch of this race, we see them moving through the final 500-meter mark. I think all eyes are really on that Dutch crew. Hungary still leading, but just ever so close as they come in towards the final 500-meter mark. A glance over then, it's Brazil still running third. Then it's over to Austria and the USA. So, Rob, this should be an exciting sprint, I think, from these crews as they come down.
Yes, wonder if Hungary went a little bit too early, perhaps, because the Netherlands absolutely sticking with them. Brazil have backed just a little bit, haven't they? Fallen off the pace just a touch, with Austria very close on their side. USA off the pace, as you suggested. But Hungary, Netherlands battling it out for this first place.
Obrovský souboj, který teď sledujeme, 4 bez kormidelníka, disciplína, která nabízí i po 5 minutách a 25 vteřinách. Těsný souboj, loď na loď a metr na metr. Zatím Maďaři stále na první pozici, Nizozemci a Brazilci jsou velmi blízko, především první 2 lodě. Tam je ten souboj hlavní o první a druhé místo. Finále C, kde se bojuje o 13. a 17. pozici celkově, co se týká světového šampionátu. Tohle to je dojezd právě 4 bez kormidelníka. Maďaři versus Nizozemci, souboj o první a druhou pozici.
Well, lots of support coming from the crowds here on the shoreline. There'll be fellow countrymen, I'm sure, but the Netherlands are still going to hang on to this. They are pushing and pushing all the way down to the line, but they're not going to make it. They're not going to overtake the Hungarian crew. It's Hungary who come through in first place. Netherlands just half a length behind in second, and in third place in lane 3, it's Brazil. So that's the 1, 2, 3. Hungary, Netherlands, Brazil in the C final of the men's 4.
Posádka to nakonec zvládla, a to konkrétně posádka Maďarska, 4 bez kormidelníka, 6 minut 5 vteřin a 81 setin. Na druhém místě Nizozemci, jako třetí Brazilci, na 4. pozici a 5. místě, tam budou ještě posádky Rakouska a také Spojených států amerických. Maďarsko, Nizozemsko a Brazílie v této jízdě 1., 2. a 3. místo.
Next race is the C final of the lightweight women's single sculls. Vilma Kangasmäki of Finland in lane 1. Camilla Kieset of Norway is in lane 2. Ola Shabina of Ukraine in lane 3. In lane 4 for Denmark, Christine Sondergaard Hansen. In lane 5 for France, Marion Chanyo. And for Estonia in lane 6, Kelly Yarvoya. And they are underway, making their way down the course around the 800-meter mark. How are they looking, Colleen Cat?
Yeah, that's right, Rob. Just around that point. Well, it's looking good for Denmark. The first sculler to cross into the 500-meter mark and carrying that speed now through the second quarter of the race. So it's Denmark currently leading. Then it's over to Norway. So a nice look in the picture at those two scullers who are closest to each other. And a good look then for France as well, just behind them. France out of lane 5, and then over to the Ukraine out of lane 3. So a good press here as we come through. But yeah, it's another race for Denmark. It's looking like Kat. Good swing, good rhythm, but she'll have to look out for a charging France.
Yeah, the French sculler's really making her move now. The Danish sculler had pulled that advantage out to a length, just coming through 750, but France's Marion Chagnot has responded now, and really with this charge, she's taken the rate up just a fraction, 32 strokes a minute, and it's brought her right up alongside the Danish sculler. So these two at the head of the course as they come through 1,000 metres. The Danish sculler just slipped through ahead at that timing marker, I think, but very close between these two scullers. Just back from them, the closest to them in third place is Norway's Camilla Kesseth. And these scullers, all reasonably conservative on the rate, 32 strokes a minute, 33 strokes a minute across the board. So that's the 1, 2, 3 as they move away from the 1,000-metre mark.
And as we move into the third quarter, then just a beautiful look here. It's our French sculler who has managed to pull herself up and now leads by just about a bow deck over the Danish sculler out of lane 4, and then Ukraine in hot pursuit. And Ukraine posting the fastest time in the prior round in the repechage, so we might expect some speed from her in the third quarter of the race. But it's a good push for France into the second half.
As you're saying that, we're starting to see, Colleen, that push coming from Ukraine's Olha Sherbina. She just moved up alongside Denmark's Christina Hansen and just slipped past her into second place now, coming through 12.50. France's Marion Chagnot just holding on to the first place, but here comes Olha Sherbina from Ukraine.
Yeah, that's right. It's a good press from Ukraine, isn't it? So we can see she's now just moving into that second place position, passing Denmark out of lane 4. And as she comes into the last quarter, you can just feel it. She's looking to get her bow ball just ahead of France, and she knows that she's close. So we see the overlap there, not quite a half a length, maybe a little bit less, but she's still charging. And as we look at speed here in the tablet that we have, we can see that they're moving at pretty similar speeds. But I think, Kat, as you commented, these athletes have somewhere to go with the stroke rate. We'll see if they use that as they move into the final stretch.
To my eye, I'm seeing exactly what you're seeing, Colleen, that there's some room to go for Olha Sherbina of Ukraine. Coming through 1,500 metres, she's drawn just about level now with the French sculler, 0.37 seconds behind, and she's still moving, still at 32 strokes a minute. So into this last quarter, following that really, really good third quarter, Ukraine's Olha Sherbina is moving up stroke on stroke and has just taken the lead, I can see, from the French sculler. So they've got 400 metres to go. It's been a really good timed 600 metres, this last 600 metres for Sherbina of Ukraine. Rob, they're coming towards you and the finish towel. We're looking for places 13 to 18 in the championship. Olha Sherbina has worked her way up through the course and she leads the way home.
Yeah, it's a very closely contested race between these 6 crews, and particularly the front 4 are really keeping in touch with the leader. But it's Marion Chagnot, Sherbina of Ukraine, Kesseth of Norway, all still in contention.
Danka Hansenová, která byla po prvním kilometru na první pozici, se aktuálně propadla až na 4. místo. Vede francouzská Marion Chagnotová, závodnice z Ukrajiny, je na 2. místě. Rozdíl mezi oběma na posledním mezičase 37 setin. Teď už se ale zdá, že se nám odděluje startovní pole a poznáme jasnou lídryni právě této disciplíny, konkrétně skiv žen lehkých vah o 13. a 18. místo, tedy finále C, které sledujeme i v tento moment, kdy zbývá zhruba 180 metrů do cíle. Cílová rovinka, která je ale ještě hodně dlouhá, a to i po 7 minutách a 30 vteřinách. Francouzska, Ukrajinka a Norka jsou ty závodnice, které budou nejlépe hodnoceny v této jízdě, tedy na 1., 2. a 3. pozici. Ten dojezd bude ale ještě poměrně těsný.
Sherbina seems to be taking control of this one, coming down to the finish line. I think she's going to take it. Then it's the battle for second on third. Can the French sculler, Chagnot, hang on to second place? I think she's just going to manage that, but the challenge is coming through from Kesseth of Norway. But first place goes to Sherbina of Ukraine, France in second, and Norway in third. Terrific race in the C-final of the lightweight women's single sculls.
Nakonec hodně těsné v tomto souboji. Ukrajinka uhájila 1. místo, na 2. místě bude Francouzska, Ukrajinka za 7 minut 57 vteřin a 34 setin. Na druhém místě potvrzená Francouzka a jako třetí to zvládla Norka. Na dalších pozicích Dánka, Estonka a Finka. Takhle velké rozpětí a mezinárodní pole se ukázalo ve finále C v souboji o 13. a 18. místo skifu žen lehkých vah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, terrific racing here on day 4. Just a reminder to all team members that masks must be worn at all times, especially in the grandstand whilst not racing. So please do remember that. It is hugely important. And crews may indeed be disqualified at the discretion of the World Rowing Executive Committee for not following the requirements of the COVID response plan. So do please, everybody, make sure that you are wearing masks at all times whilst you are not racing. Thank you.
Prosíme všechny závodníky i členy jednotlivých týmů, aby dodržovali pravidla, to znamená, měli respirátor a také dodržovali protiepidemická opatření toho dalšího rázu, hygiena, mytí rukou a tak dále, ale masky a co se týká také ochrany obličeje, to je naprosto zásadní a je to nutné v rámci světového šampionátu, který teď můžeme vidět. Děkujeme za to a dodržujte opatření, mějte to, co je potřeba, tak abychom ochránili sebe i ostatní.
Well underway now in the C final of the lightweight men's single sculls with Saudi Arabia in 1, Serbia in 2, Czech Republic lane 3, Tunisia in lane 4, Panama in lane 5 and Azerbaijan in lane 6. Who has the advantage here just past the 400-meter mark?
Well, the locals will be delighted. It is our Czech sculler, that's Jonas Fredrik of the Czech Republic out of lane 3. He's led from early in the race and he's continued to hold that advantage at the 500-meter mark, at the 1,000-meter mark. He's got a full length on the field. He's rowing at the highest, so he's up at 35. The next closest competitor, that's Tunisia, at about 32 strokes per minute. So using the rate and the power to his advantage, incredibly exciting. So I'm sure the Czech teammates and athletes that can shout for him from shore will be doing just that. And he's looking to capture 13th overall in this race. So the C final, contesting for positions 13 through 18. Tunisia, as we see on the graphic, running second, and then it continues to be Serbia then running third, then over to Azerbaijan, Panama, and Saudi Arabia running sixth. Just a beautiful look then as our Czech sculler comes through. And again, Rob, as they move through the last quarter towards the final 250-meter marks, all eyes, open water lead for the Czech Republic.
Yeah, it's looking good for the home nation here, isn't it? In lane 3, he's got a really good lead, 3.5 seconds, if not more now, opening up ahead of Kadri of Tunisia and Simunovic of Serbia.
Jonáš Fridrich z České republiky, první český reprezentant, který je v akci v rámci čtvrtého dne mistrovství světa. V tuto chvíli drží první pozici, daří se mu už od první 500, student Bristol University a také letecké dopravy na ČVUT. V tuto chvíli chce uhájit 13. pozici na světovém šampionátu kategorie do 23 let. Na prvním místě stál Jonáš Fridrich, za ním Tunisan a Srb. Takhle by to mělo vypadat také v cílovém prostoru a v cílové rovince, tedy této kategorie. Jonáš Fridrich výborným způsobem i v poslední části světového šampionátu, který teď bude finišovat pro prvního českého reprezentanta. Jonáš Fridrich, který si vedl naprosto skvěle v téhleté konkrétní jízdě a dokázal vybojovat v souboji finále C o 13. až 18. místo první pozici. Pojďme se ještě podívat na druhé a třetí místo, konkrétně na ty konkrétní časy, které můžeme registrovat u jednotlivých závodníků. Jonáš Fridrich, první místo, 7 minut 12 vteřin a 12 setin se ztrátou 3,5 vteřiny. Tunisan a srbský závodník a reprezentant na třetím místě této jízdy.
Great to see a Czech win out on the water here. The home nation with Jonas Fridrich taking first place ahead of Kadri of Tunisia in second, Simunovic of Serbia in third.
Thank you.
C-final of the men's pair got underway a few moments ago with Slovenia in lane 1, South Africa in lane 2, Uzbekistan lining up in lane 3 with the USA in lane 4, and the Czech Republic in lane 5. Here is how the start went just a few moments ago, with Slovenia nearest the camera, then South Africa, Uzbekistan, USA, and the Czech Republic. And let's pick them up a little bit further down the course now, around 1,200 meters with Kat and Colleen.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, they're going to come through this 1250 metre mark, and that crew out there in front is Uzbekistan. They've led from the very start of the race with about a 1.5 second advantage over the rest of the field. They're coming through 1250. We're just starting to see a move coming now from South Africa alongside them. This crew from South Africa have qualified for this race in the fastest time, coming from the repechage. And just as we're joining the race, what a great moment to join it. South Africa just rowing through Uzbekistan to take the lead. So a critical point in this race. This pair from Uzbekistan have got such great experience rowing together at international level. They raced at the final Olympic qualification regatta earlier this year in the men's 4 in 2019 season, also racing at the senior level in the men's 4. They've got a great deal of racing experience, and they're going to have to make a response now to this push from South Africa to stay in with a chance of winning this C final. So South Africa really pushing on now at 38 strokes a minute as they come to the final quarter.
Yeah, that's right. And I think one thing that's just remarkable too for the South African crew is that they took that move and they've actually been able to hold that speed. So they picked it up, they pressed in, they held the speed, and they're carrying that momentum now through into the final quarter of the race. And of course, they'll be having an eye out for that red buoy zone in the final 250 meters. A good push for South Africa to take the lead. Uzbekistan now running second. Then it's over to the USA, Slovenia, and the Czech Republic.
Here they are, the South African crew, 39 strokes a minute. They're holding on to that rhythm. They've got now some clear water over the rest of the field, so what a timed move from them. They're coming towards you, Rob, coming towards the line. The South Africans were in second place for the first half of the race, and they've rowed through to take the lead ahead of Uzbekistan.
South Africans looking very strong, aren't they? They've timed it to perfection by the look of things. Uzbekistan, though, still putting up a challenge, with the USA taking up that third place spot.
Reprezentanti Jihoafrické republiky zatím na první pozici, na druhém místě Uzbekistán, posádka Spojených států na třetím místě. Česká republika má také ve dvojce bez kormidelníka zastoupení právě v této jízdě, to konkrétně Jan Šimkovský, Albert Caban, kteří jsou aktuálně na 5. pozici. Uvidíme, jak to bude vypadat skutečně až v cílovém prostoru. Teď se dostáváme do závěrečné části, tedy disciplíny dvojky bez kormidelníka.
South African crew looking very comfortable here. They know that they've pretty much made it. Just a few meters now, just a few more strokes to get down to the finish line to take a first spot in this C final in the men's pair. It's South Africa crossing the line in first place ahead of Uzbekistan in second, and third place is going to lane for the USA. This the C final of the men's pair.
Česká dvojka právě teď protnula cílovou fotobuňku. Jsme tedy kompletní v této jízdě dvojky bez kormidelníka, ve které byli nejrychlejší zástupci Jihoafrické republiky. Posádka Uzbekistánu na druhém, Američané na třetím místě, jako čtvrtí Slovinci, a česká posádka Jan Šimkovský a Albert Caban nakonec na 5. místě. Tak jak to teď můžeme vidět také na oficiálním výsledkovém provedení, 6 minut 40 vteřin a 7,70 setin. To byl ten nejrychlejší čas.
Three crews contesting the C final of the women's double sculls, with Hungary taking up lane 1, Slovakia in lane 2, and the USA in lane 3. Orsolia Bender in the bow seat for Hungary, Janka Siros at stroke. For Slovakia, Kolmeier and Zrutova, and Maeta and Konopka for the USA. They are underway and making their way down the course around 750 meters. How are you seeing this, Kat?
Yeah, that's right, Rob. It's a great look, isn't it, as you join us just about 750 in, as you say. That's Slovakia in the lead, and then it's over to Hungary running second, then back to the USA. Now, there was just one repechage for this event yesterday, and the story of that race is quite interesting because the US shot out and led to the 500. Then at about the 1,000, they slipped back, and Hungary and Slovakia were running level with a slight advantage to Slovakia. They were able to keep that momentum to the finish, at least within the three crews racing here in that C final. They had the best time. So I think the implication then is that we can expect quite the race cap between Hungary and Slovakia. At the moment, though, advantage to Slovakia, and they're holding it quite nicely.
Yeah, the Slovakians holding on to this so far, but we just see there the bow ball of the Hungarian boat, and there's still overlap between these two crews. Both crews racing 34 strokes a minute. Nice rhythm coming from these two crews. They've got a bit of an advantage now over the crew from the USA. And here comes a move from Slovakia. They're really using that body lean to get length at the front of the stroke. They're just going to take this margin to a length now over Hungary as they come towards 1,250 meters. This third quarter could be really important here to establish a lead. The Hungarians will have to stay in touch with that move if they want to overhaul Slovakia in the final stages.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And they're rowing both at the 33 strokes per minute, very similar speeds. So as we move through the last stretch of this race, the time is now for Hungary to take a move, to take that momentum if they're going to do it, or they'll start to run out of water as we approach the last quarter of the race. Of course, Slovakia able to see them just in front. So it's their job to keep the power on and see if they can open up the gap between the two crews. Hungary doing a good job of maintaining contact. You can see the bow of Hungary just on the stern deck of Slovakia. They're approaching the final 500 meters then. Margin's pretty consistent over the last several hundred meters. So, Kat, I think the Hungarians will have to go now if they're going to make a run for it.
Yeah, they really have to. They've got a length to make up here in this last quarter. And the Slovakians look pretty comfortable there at a 33 strokes a minute. It's not a high rating for a double scull. They're really using the length at the front end of the stroke and levering it through. So we see that time differential, 1.64 seconds, 9-meter gap, separating first and second place, the Slovakians and the Hungarians. The Hungarians now taking it up to 35 strokes a minute. They've perhaps gained about a metre now on the Slovakians. They're making their charge. They're coming back here. They've got 7 metres now to make up if they want to take the win from Slovakia. So, Rob, they're coming into the closing stages. It's been really tight racing between these two crews. There's now 2/3 of a length to make up for Hungary if they want to take the win from Slovakia.
Yeah, I still get the feeling that they might be able to do that too. They are pushing them. They're pressing them all the way down towards the finish line. USA back in third, but the battle very much here between Hungary and Slovakia.
V tuto chvíli tedy sledujeme slovenské reprezentantky, které rozhodně chtějí bojovat o 13. místo na světovém šampionátu kategorie do 23 let. Jsou zatím na první pozici, na druhém místě Maďarky, které ztrácejí 10 metrů aktuálně podle GPSky a podle stvárnění, tak abychom mohli porovnávat skutečně všechny jednotlivé dvojice a posádky. Na třetím místě Američanky, ty už nestíhají, ty už na posledním mezičase měly ztrátu více než 7 vteřin. Slovenské reprezentantky Emma Kolmajerová a Viktoria Zrutová tedy dělají všechno proto, aby v této jízdě dojeli na prvním místě.
Looks like the Slovakian crew may just be opening up some clear water between them and the Hungarians in lane one. It's going to be Slovakia as they come down to the finish line. Slovakia going to take it. Hungary still pushing. Too little, too late for them. It's going to be Slovakia to take first place, winning by a length and a half ahead of Hungary in second, with the USA in third for places 13, 14 and 15 in the women's double sculls.
Maďarské reprezentantky Bendaové a Žirosová dělali vše proto, aby dotáhly Slovenky. Nakonec se jim to nevydařilo, tak tedy velká gratulace do Slovenska. Co se týká této jízdy, Emma Kolmajerová a Viktoria Zrutová dokázali vyhrát a zapsat si čas 7 minut 19 vteřin a 3 setin. Maďarky téměř o 3 vteřiny zpět, Američanky na třetím místě a znamená to pro Slovenskou republiku 13. místo této disciplíně dvojskifů žen na světovém šampionátu kategorie do 23 let.
The The C-final of the men's double sculls lines up like this, with Canada in lane 1, Sweden in lane 2, the USA taking up lane 3 alongside Moldova in lane 4, who received a yellow card, by the way, for being late at the start. I wonder where they got to. Norway in lane 5 and Hungary in lane 6. A great start, as you can see, looking particularly quick out of the blocks with the Swedish crew in lane 2. How have they progressed as we head down towards 1,200 meters, I wonder?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Moldova leading out of lane 4, so you can see Moldova with just a nice margin over the rest of the field. Moldova with the fastest time coming out of the repechage. So yeah, it was a quick start indeed for Sweden, but it's Moldova now who's made the best of it. Then it's over to the USA with Norway, and not to be left out, Canada out of lane 1. So still pretty tightly packed as we come through, I'd say, with the exception of Moldova. It's looking good for them, Kat, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks really good for Moldova, and this Canadian crew on the near side is moving well. They're just a length off the Moldovans, and they're in a little bit of a space here. The crew alongside them from Sweden has dropped back, so the Canadians just need to keep a little eye over to their left and stay in touch with this race, as they may not be aware of just how much they've got to make up on the Moldovans. So Moldova still lead this. They're at 34 strokes a minute. The Canadians up at 37 strokes a minute, and the USA currently riding behind that in 3rd place.
Yeah, it's a good look for the Canadians, isn't it? These athletes making their international debut. That's Samuel Stewart and Raphael Burrs of Canada out of lane 1, currently moving at 37 strokes per minute and just putting themselves in a nice position as we move through into the final quarter, just by that 1,500 down. So look then at the graphics. It's Moldova, Canada, with the USA running 3rd. Water starting to run out, though, so we'll see if the Canadians can take a push here at the end.
Yeah, here we're looking at Moldova. Nice blade work from them. They're pushing well with the legs. Body's nice and tight in here. Alexandra Bula in the stroke seat. Alexandra Masnic in the bows. They've led from the very start of this race. Solid rhythm at 34 strokes a minute. Rob, they're coming down towards you in the 250-metre mark. They've still got just over a length advantage ahead of Canada and the USA, but it's tight there for 2nd place as well.
Yeah, it's a closely fought race, this one, isn't it? Not much separating those front 3, maybe 3 seconds between Republic of Moldova in 1st, USA in 3rd. Bit of a gap then to Norway, Sweden and Hungary behind them in the 2nd pack.
Sledujeme dvojsky v mužů, finále C, tedy souboj opět o konečné 13. místo a za Moldavskou republiku zatím dvojice, která je nejrychlejší, Mastik a Bulat, to jsou parťáci, kteří si jedou právě o ono zmiňované 13. místo, Kanaďané aktuálně na 2. a Američané na 3. místě.
Coming down to the finish line, there's plenty of noise coming from the grandstand here with other crews here supporting their nations. It's a terrific atmosphere here, but it is going to be Moldova from lane 4 who take 1st place. The battle for 2nd and 3rd just goes the way of lane 3, and that is the USA. They did well to come from further back down the course, with Canada finishing 3rd in lane 1. What a race.
Skvělý závod, nic se nemění na tom, že za Moldavsko dokázala zvítězit dvojice a posádka, která bere 1. místo a 13. místo celkově na světovém šampionátu. Nakonec druzí Američané, ano, ty uhájili 2. místo o 4 desetiny před Kanaďany. Švédové se také zmohli na nápor v poslední části, nakonec ale 4. místo, norský dvojsky na 5. a Maďaři nakonec uzavírají tuto jízdu na 6. místě. Moldavsko 1. pozice 6:24:69, vítězství v této jízdě o téměř 3 sekundy.
Back up the course is where they've started the C-final of the men's single sculls, with Stephen Rosts of Canada in lane 1, Mikhail Krishtin of Estonia in lane 2, Philip Mathieu Pfeiffer of Slovenia in lane 3, Alan Gibor of Israel in lane 4. In lane 5, Jakub Popelka of Slovakia, and representing Spain in lane 6, Cosme Burutaran. Well, this is how they got underway just a few moments ago. We'll pick them up as they approach the 1,000-metre mark.
Thanks, Rob. The leader here is Slovenia's Filip Matej Pfeiffer. He won the semi-final with a good margin ahead of the second place sculler, and he seems to have even moved on from there, really taking it on hard through this first half of the race. He's got a clear water advantage over the second place sculler. And it's interesting to see this second place sculler is the Canadian Stephen Ross. Stephen Ross making his international debut here at this championships. He's at Washington University and won the Henley Royal Regatta with them back in 2018. So here, moving into a sculling boat, he's moving on really nicely against the experienced Philippe Mathieu-Pfeiffer. But Mathieu-Pfeiffer, what a great lead for him, Colleen.
Yeah, incredible as we move into the third quarter of the race. As mentioned, he led to the 500-meter mark. He was first to cross into the second half. Things are looking really nice for him. He's at 35 strokes per minute. Good reach up at the front, and you can just see the swing back into the bow. It's able to get him a nice advantage over the rest of the field. And I think that's right. His biggest threat will be the Canadian sculler, who's able to hold off at the moment the rest of the field. That's Stephen Ross with his biggest threat perhaps coming from Estonia just next to him out of lane 2. They're coming towards the last stretch of the race, just moving through the 750-meter mark to go. And we take a look at Canada, we can see that he's brought it up maybe just about a beat or so. So we'll see if he can make up some of this margin between himself and the Slovenian. But it's quite a bit, isn't it? He's got a nice advantage, the Slovenian sculler.
Yeah, there's a fair amount to make up here for the Canadian. The Slovenian's taken this on really hard. This is definitely his scull of the championships. He's blown the rest of the field out of the water. There's a really big margin now between first place and second place, but an even bigger one back to third. And really good sculling still from the Slovenian. He's coming up to this third timing marker. We've seen him on the international circuit at senior level. He was competing in Zagreb at the World Cup with an 11th place finish, at the European Championships, finishing in 20th place. And here at the Under-23 Championships, he looks to be positioning himself really well for the win here in this C final. And what a great showing from Canada's Stephen Ross here, improving on his semi-final performance, coming through now in second place through 1,500 meters. Estonia's Michael Kustein in that third place, and the Slovakian Jakub Popelka makes up the fourth place. Alan Gibor, who won his semi-final, currently riding back in sixth place. And here again with the Slovenian, coming into these closing stages, Rob, it's really been the performance of the regatta for this sculler. He's improved step by step through the final, through the semi-final, and here in this final, he's dominated from the very first stroke.
Hasn't he just? He's kind of left the best to last, and he's really showing his class here as he opens up quite a lead now ahead of Stephen Ross of Canada in second, Kustein of Estonia in third.
Pojďme se podívat na aktuální pozici závodníků, kteří jsou ve skifu mužů ve finále C. Zatím Slovinec Mathieu-Pfeiffer na první pozici, a to naprosto přesvědčivě. Je to vidět také z komentátorské věže. Na druhém místě stále Kanaďan, podle všeho se ztrátou 15 metrů. Další skifaři už ztrácí ještě více, a to podstatně 35 anebo i 70 metrů, pokud se podíváme na Alona Gibora z Izraele. V tuto chvíli tedy Philippe Mathieu-Pfeiffer dělá vše pro to, aby dojel v této jízdě na první pozici. Skif mužů finále C, které bude vrcholit už za pár vteřin.
Yeah, it looks like Pfeiffer of Slovenia is going to hold on to this front-running spot and take first place, but he's being pushed down to the line all the way by Stephen Ross of Canada. It is Philippe Mathieu-Pfeiffer of Slovenia who crosses the line in first place, a length and a half ahead of Canada's Stephen Ross in second. It's going to be really tight for third place. Everyone is battling for this one, and it just goes the way of Michael Kustein of Estonia. So that's the 1, 2, 3. Slovenia, Canada, Estonia, the C final of the men's single sculls.
Slovinec, který letos nechyběl třeba na závodech světového poháru nebo na mistrovství Evropy, tedy nakonec nejrychlejší v této jízdě. Na druhém místě Stephen Ross z Kanady, na třetí pozici reprezentant Estonska, následuje čtvrtý slovenský reprezentant Jakub Popelka, na pátém místě Španěl, a šestici finále C ve skifu mužů uzavírá Alon Gibor už s výraznější ztrátou. Slovinec, Kanaďan a Estonec, tedy první, druhé a třetí místo. To jsou ti nejrychlejší ve finále C mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let.
So we now move on to the last of our C finals before we open up the competition with the AB semi-finals at 10 to the hour. But let's give you the runners and riders in this last C final. It's the women's singles sculls with Croatia lining up in lane 1 with Bruna Milinovic. In lane 2 for Estonia, Greta Jansson. In lane 3 for Lithuania, Martina Kazlauskaite. In lane 4 for Slovenia, Ilaria Maki. In lane 5, Denmark, Sophie Vikelso. And in lane 6, Zimbabwe's Justine Hobbs. And we saw them get underway a short while ago. They're now around the 1,000 metre mark. And it's looking like a closely contested race here.
Yeah, the advantage at this stage is going to Martina Kazlauskaite from Lithuania. She's there in the front, 32 strokes a minute. It's a confident rhythm from her, and that's giving her a good advantage over Slovenia's Ilaria Maki alongside her. Now, from the semi-final, Ilaria Maki has moved into this final with the fastest qualifying time. She won her semi-final some 5 seconds faster than the time set by Martina Kazlauskaite. And the tactic the Slovenian used in that race was really to take it pretty conservatively through the first half of the race and then really power on through the second half. So if we see that tactic again here, then the pressure is going to start to build on Martina Kazlauskaite at the front of this race. But she's managed to take already a 3-second advantage ahead of the Slovenian.
Yeah, just 19 years old for the Lithuanian Kazlauskaite, and a good look for her here out of lane 3. She had good success in her junior years, rowing in the pair at the Junior World Championships in 2019, in the quad at the Junior Worlds in 2018. So great to see her here at the under-23s. But I think that's right, Kat. We'll have an eye for Slovenia. We're moving then through the third quarter. Does she have another level? The time is now to turn that on.
Yeah, and looking at who's making the move at this stage, the closest to you on the camera there is Croatia's Bruna Milinovic. She's the one making the move through 12:50 here. She's moved up into second place. She's 15 metres behind the Lithuanian sculler, who's just off camera to the left. We'll pan back and see what that gap is. So this is a fantastic final performance from Bruna Milinovic of Croatia. The Lithuanian sculler really holding her own here. She's led from the very start of the race, and it's looking really good as she completes this third quarter.
She's at about 34 strokes per minute and just getting a nice swing through the water, as we can see, approaching the last 500 meters of this race. Her job, of course, is just to keep her eyes up and continue to press the rest of the field back. A look then over at lane 1, that's closest to the picture, and that's Croatia. That's her closest threat as she comes through this last stretch. They're moving at very similar speeds, so it'll be exciting to see as we move into the last 450 meters or so, how much of that margin the Croatians able to close. A look then at the times. Lithuania running first, then Croatia, Estonia, Slovenia, Denmark, and Zimbabwe.
And that third place now being held by Estonia's Greta Jansson. She's moved up ahead of Ilaria Maki. Greta Jansson of Princeton University and a bronze medalist from the Youth Olympic Games back in 2018. She's holding on to third, and she's trying to challenge Bruna Milinovic for the second place. Bruna Milinovic really taking this last quarter on hard. She's now got overlap with the Lithuanian and moving up on her every stroke. Rob, Lithuania's Martina Kazlauskaite held this so well through the middle part of the race, but she's under a lot of pressure now from the Croatian sculler as they move into these final stages.
Yes, indeed. Milinovic is really piling on the pressure and making headway. As you say, closing the gap. We've got an overlap now for that first and second slot. It's looking very tight indeed. Greta Jansson just a little bit further back in third for Estonia.
Sledujeme pro tento moment poslední finále C. Po lehké odmlce se dostaneme už k semifinálovým jízdám. Teď ale skiv žen a konkrétně Litevka, které je 19 let a zatím drží suverénně první místo. Martina Kazlauskaitejová, závodnice, která za litevské veslování je tedy nejrychlejší. Teď se ale pojďme podívat na Chorvatku Brunu Milinovičovou. To je závodnice, která se chce propasovat na první pozici a teď se jí to také daří. Ano, Chorvatka se v poslední 500 dostává ve finále C skifu žen na první místo a pravděpodobně už jí nikdo první pozici nesebere ani v následujících desítkách metrů.
Yes, looks like Milinovic of Croatia has broken through. She's timed her run to perfection. She's going to come down. She's going to take the finish line first. It's a brilliant row from Bruna Milinovic of Croatia in lane one. She takes first place in this C final ahead of Lithuania's Kazlauskaite, who takes second. And in third place, it looks like Justine Hobbs of Zimbabwe. No, it is in fact, Vikoslo of Denmark in lane five. But what a finish from Milinovic of Croatia to take first spot in this C final of the women's single sculls.
22letá Chorvatka Milinovičová ukázala svoji zkušenost v téhleté kategorii, protože na jednotlivých mezičasech byla třetí, čtvrtá, druhá, až v posledních zhruba 250 metrech zaúřadoval její styl a její energie a dostala se ve finále C na prvním místě ve skifu žen. Litevka na druhé pozici, ta má skutečně celou kariéru i v kategorii do 23 let ve svých 19 letech před sebou, Dánka jako třetí, Estonka čtvrtá, Slovenka na pátém a Zimbabwanka Justina Hobbs na šestém místě.
So after some fabulous competition in our C finals this morning, day 4 of the 2021 World Rowing Under-23 Championships from Racice here in the Czech Republic. We'll be moving on to the semi-finals, which get underway in just over 5 minutes at 10 to the hour.
Za 6 minut konkrétně, v 10 hodin a 50 minut se vracíme zpátky na trať a budeme sledovat semifinále s označením A a B, konkrétně skiff žen lehkých vah, kde nebude v dalších minutách a jízdách chybět také české zastoupení.
So we've just taken you through the starting lineup here for the first AB semi-final. It's the lightweight women's single sculls with Kirkovic of Belarus in lane 1, Roll of Switzerland in lane 2. In lane 3 from Greece, it's Evangelia Anastasiadou. In lane 4 from Russia, Alexandra Fomina. Lane 5 representing Austria, Lara Tiefenthaler. And in lane 6 representing Moldova, Julia Narivončić.
Vracíme se zpátky do jednotlivých tratí a konkrétně jízda, která bude patřit skifu žen lehkých vah. V další jízdě pojede také česká reprezentantka i z tohoto pohledu tedy velmi důležité semifinále.
So they're underway then in the lightweights women's single sculls. It's the first semi-final, the all-important semi-final to remain in contention for a medal spot in the A finals tomorrow. Underway at some rate as we just close in there on the Belarus athlete Kirkovic. Kat Holloway and Colleen Saville are watching the races. How was that start from your point of view?
Oh, all eyes for me were on Greece robber or Greek sculler. That's Evangelia Anastasiadou, and you see that she came off the line, I think, at 51 strokes per minute. It's given her an advantage early, but she'll have to look out, of course, for a charging field just behind her, so tightly packed as they come through the first 250, 300 meters or so.
It's also a really aggressive start from Austria's Lara Tiefenthaler. She's taken it on and settled at 37 strokes a minute through 250 meters. She's still really attacking here. I'm thinking surely this can't be her race pace at 38. She's just settling it down at 36 now. It's been incredibly aggressive through the first part, and that's given her half a length advantage now over Greece's Evangelia Anastasiadou.
And it's a nice look then out of lane 5, right in your picture there, the Austrian sculler, that's Lara Tiefenthaler, starting to hit her stride as she moves now into the second quarter of the race. So really building speed off the line. She finished 3rd in this exact event at the last Under-23 World Rowing Championships. That was in 2019 in Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida in the USA. So a bit of nostalgia, and I'm sure a lot of heart that we'll see in this semifinal this morning. So she moves then on through the rest of the field and through now that checkpoint.
Yeah, coming through 500 metres, she's looking really strong up there at the front of the field with a bronze medal, as you say, Colleen, from the last Under-23 Championships. I guess she's looking this time around to go one better, and here's her opportunity to book a place in that A final to set her up with a chance of a medal. So, of course, here in the semi-final, the first 3 scullers will go through to tomorrow's A final, the remaining 3 crews to the B final. At the head of the course right now, still Austria's Lara Tiefenthaler. Greece's Evangelia Anastasiadou is in second place, and third place, it's really tight between the scullers from Moldova and Switzerland. That's Julia Narivončić and Elina Roll.
And a nice press from Greece moving then into the second quarter. We see that she's pulled herself not quite level with the Austrian sculler, but at the 750 meter mark, doing everything she can to do just that. And she's just a few meters then behind her. So we'll see if she finds the power to overtake her. At the moment, she is moving just a little bit faster through the water. So I think that's what we can expect. And of course, for the first time then, she's put her bow ahead. So it's a quick, aggressive start, Kat, and it looks like she still has more room to go. Of course, we're not quite into the second half. A bit of response, though, from the Austrian sculler.
Yeah, what a battle between these two. They've changed positions twice already, and here the Greek sculler's coming back again. And this really pronounced body swing from the Greek sculler. She's got so much fight as she comes through to the end of the stroke there. She's using that to lever the boat on to get some acceleration. And really exciting to see these 2 scullers head to head. With 3 to go through, I'm just looking back and checking who's currently in that 3rd place. That's Elina Roll of Switzerland. She's managed to take a little bit of an advantage over the Moldovan sculler. We're also seeing Russia's Alexandra Fomina starting to make a showing here in this race. So through halfway, Greece coming through in the lead, Austria, Switzerland, Russia ahead of Moldova.
Perhaps a little bit surprising to see Alina Roll currently running in that third place position. Amongst this group, at least in the last rounds in the repechage, she did post the fastest time. So we'll see if she can find speed in the third 500, but it'll take a bit of an effort, I think, to chase down the top of the field. It's the Greek sculler. It continues to be Evangelina Anastasiadou holding on to that first place position and maintaining the advantage over Austria. And then, as you can see, a bit of water back to the rest of the field. Russia there out of lane 4, just 21 years old, making her international debut. She posted the fastest time in the heats. She was rewarded by being able to skip the repechage, but a lot of excitement and a lot of energy, of course, coming from Greece and Austria. So it'll be a bit of work to catch them, I'm afraid.
It will indeed, and 750 metres to go. That gap between the first two scullers and the third and fourth place scullers is about a length now as they come in through this third quarter. The Greek sculler taking it on really hard still at this point in the race, and she's got more than half a length advantage now over her Austrian rival. And this battle between third and fourth place, between Alina Roll and the Russian Alexandra Fomina. It's the Russian sculler who currently has the advantage, but just by a couple of metres over Alina Roll. So this is part of the race to watch as they come into the last quarter. Still at the head of the field is Evangelia Anastasiadou for Greece.
Yeah, she's able to hold that advantage, isn't she? Just by a half a length or so over the Austrian sculler. She's not in our picture now, but Alexandra Fomina from Russia, we can now get a look here. I do recall from the heat, she had a great third 500-meter stretch. That was an area where she was able to build speed in the race. You can see that happening yet again. Of course, the question becomes then, as they move through that last 500 meters to go, the 1,500 meters down, is there time for her to take it up another level? Again, she was able to skip the repechage. The advantage there is that you're able to skip a race, right, to stay off your feet, to have that extra day of rest. So, Rob, as they come through, just charging towards the final 300, 250 meters, it's going to take quite an effort to catch this Greek sculler, but I think we'll keep an eye on Russia as well.
Well, it's fascinating you should say that, because it looks like she's now moved up into third place, Fomina, the Russian. A superb push from her. You're absolutely right. She's obviously going for it in those final stages. What a tactic from her. It seems to be working. Anastasiadou of Greece, though, in first, with Tiefenthaler of Austria in second, the Russian in third.
Sledujeme poslední, ne desítky, ale ještě v tuto chvíli stovky metrů, zhruba 230 metrů, než poznáme první finalistky, které teď jedou v prvním semifinále, konkrétně skifu žen lehkých vah. Ze 6 závodnic postoupí jen 3 do velkého finále, v další jízdě pojede také česká reprezentantka, k tomu se dostaneme skutečně už za několik desítek vteřin. Teď už ale dojezd a souboj o první, druhé a třetí místo, zatím řekně na prvním, Rakušanka na druhém a ruská reprezentantka na třetím místě. Pokud se podíváme na jednotlivé rozestupy, tak je to tam hodně těsné, protože všechny závodnice jedou výborným způsobem. Navíc se teď také dotahuje Švýcarka, tak tohle to bude ještě těsný dojezd. Je skutečně důležité v souvislosti s velkým finále mistrovství světa být na prvním, druhém a třetím místě.
Well, it's a superb push, isn't it, from the Russian? This 1, 2, 3 is going to be very tight. 4 boats contesting these 3 places right now. But as we come down to the finish line, it looks like Anastasiadou of Greece is just going to take first slot. But who is going to take those remaining 2 A final places? It's going to be really close. Second place looks like it's gone to Fomina of Russia. As for the third boat, well, it is between lane 2 and lane 5. Roll of Switzerland and Tiefenthaler of Austria. I'm going to await confirmation before I come out with that third place confirmation. But Anastasiadou of Greece in first place. She's in through to the A final along with Fomina of Russia. And third place has been given to Tiefenthaler of Austria. Those are our A finalists from this first semi-final of the lightweight women's single sculls.
Jízda, která stála závodnice hodně sil, což je vidět i hned po dojezdu. Reprezentantka Řecka na prvním, Ruska na druhém a Rakouska na třetím místě. Jasné označení FA, tedy postup do velkého finále o medaile na mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let. Ostatní závodnice jdou do finále B, tedy o další pořadí. Ze 4. pozice Švýcarka, následuje reprezentantka Moldavska a Běloruska ze 6. místa.
So there's confirmation, just 6/100ths of a second for Eline Roll of Switzerland, missing out on an A final. Desperately tough for her, but what a terrific competition. And the second semi-final of the lightweight women's single sculls. Up at the other end, lines up like this, with Bridget Kennedy of the United States in lane 1, Cosima Clotten of Germany in 2, Silvia Crosio of Italy in 3, Femke van der Wilt of the Netherlands in 4, Cleona Nolan of Ireland in lane 5, and Veronika Chinkova of the Czech Republic in lane 6. Underway. I wonder if we're going to have the kind of finish we've just witnessed here. What a competition that was. Second semi-final. How's it looking around the 750 mark?
Oh, so tight, Rob. You join us. Yes, just about 750 meters down. It's looking good for Germany, of course. We can see the German sculler with the advantage, but so close to Italy as well. And as they move then through about the 750 meter mark, such a battle. In fact, Italy now edging their bow out just ahead of the German sculler. Then it's over to the Netherlands, Ireland not to be left out. So it's 3 to qualify for Final A. That's what's at stake. The top 3 slots are where you want to be. And Kat, as we look at this, just a nice press from the Italian, able to kick it up, I think, a beat or so and put her bow in front of the German.
Yeah, it was a nice move there from Italy's Silvia Crosio. She's just squeezed ahead of the German sculler. These two side by side, stroke for stroke at 33 strokes a minute. Again, nice conditions here for the lightweight singles. They have a little following tailwind, but the conditions on the water are much better than we saw yesterday afternoon. There's a little ripple from the wind, but we're not seeing those waves that had come in yesterday. So these are really favourable conditions for lightweight sculling. Through 1,000 metres, there we have it. Germany have the advantage over Italy, Netherlands, Ireland, back to the USA.
Such a battle between Germany and Italy, no doubt about it. And looking at times then from the prior round, both of those athletes able to skip the repechage coming out of the heat. It was Italy with the faster time. So as these athletes consider strategy, of course, knowing that there's just 3 qualifying positions, they'll bear that in mind, knowing, especially for the German athlete that posted the slower time by about 7 seconds, that she'll need to get out and really pace herself with Italy. That's exactly what she's done. It is Silvia Crosio of Italy still holding the lead, Germany just behind her, but of course the real race happening for that 3rd qualifying position. We'll keep an eye on Ireland, Ireland out of lane 5, the Netherlands out of lane 4, but the Netherlands holding the advantage. Kat, do you think the Irish will have a sprint, the Irish sculler, which is Cleona Nolan?
Yeah, it's a great possibility, isn't it, that we could see the Irish sculler sprinting back in those final stages. She's still in touch here. She's got overlap with the Dutch sculler, sitting there in 3rd place, Femke van der Vliet, the Irish sculler, Cleona Nolan. Looking at the times coming from the previous rounds, are they reasonably similar, Colleen? How would we expect the performance to run between the Irish and the Dutch sculler based on the heats and the repechages?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, while the Irish sculler did row in the repechage and the Dutch sculler just was able to advance from the heat, so it's a little bit tricky to compare times. I think that they'll be close, but I've been really, really excited by really across Team Ireland, but Nolan in particular, the level that she's been able to bring it up for the sprint in the 3rd 500, certainly the second half of the race. So I think that's why my eye kind of floats over there to see how that'll go. For now, though, she's got a bit of work to do if she does want to pass the Dutch sculler. It's 500 meters to go.
Yeah, 500 metres gone, and Silvia Crosio, who's at the front of this race, has now just maintained this lead ahead of Germany's Cosima Clotten. The German sculler has taken those first 2 timing markers, but here we have the 3rd timing marker, and the Italian sculler half a length up. She's maintained the same rate of striking, 34 strokes a minute. The German sculler also at 34 strokes a minute. The Italian just getting a little bit more length per stroke. So looking really tidy from these first 2 scullers, and that 3rd place sculler, Femke van der Vliet from the Netherlands, is moving up on the German and also moving up the Irish sculler. As you said, she's starting her sprint here. The rates are coming up, Rob, as they come towards the 1,750 metre mark. Just 3 boats to go through here. Italy's still in front.
Phenomenal spurt of pace there from Nolan, as you say, from Ireland in lane 5. Has she got enough water, though, to make it into those front 3 boats, which currently is lined up with Silvio Crosio of Italy in first, Clotten of Germany in second place, Van der Vliet of the Netherlands holding third.
Druhé a zároveň poslední semifinále lehké váhy skiv žen. Vidíme také české zastoupení a Veroniku Činkovou, která je aktuálně na 6. místě. Závodnice, která má zatím největší dosavadní úspěchy na dvojskifu v tuto chvíli. Tedy vypadá to z jejího pohledu na béčkové finále. My se ale pojďme podívat na ty nejlepší a nejrychlejší Italka, Němka a také Nizozemka. Tohle to jsou ty, které budou bojovat také s Irkou, která chce postoupit do velkého finále.
This is a thrilling finish for second and third place. First is definitely going to go the way of Italy. Second place is taken by Germany in lane 2. And what a row from Nolan of Ireland. She moves up to take that third qualification spot for the A final, just ahead of Van der Vliet of the Netherlands. Absolutely phenomenal sculling, breaking through in those final few hundred meters. Fabulous from Nolan of Ireland. So Crosio of Italy, Clotten of Germany, Nolan of Ireland join Anastasiado of Greece, Fomina of Russia and Tiefenthaler of Austria in the final of the lightweight women's single sculls.
Naprosto fenomenální závěrečná část Irky Nolanové, která se dokázala probojovat až na 3., tedy postupové finálové místo ve skifu žen lehkých vah. Druhá Němka a první Italka, která si hlídala vlastně první anebo druhou pozici od začátku závodu přes 500 000 i 1500 metrů. Reprezentantky Itálie, Německa a Irska, tedy velké finále. Vidíte také žlutou linii, která nám ukazuje Veroniku Činkovou na 6. místě. Verču ale čeká ještě další závod, tedy souboj ve finále B na mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let.
So it's the turn of the lightweight men's single sculls. The first semi-final, it's another competitor from Ireland. Hugh Moore is in lane 1 alongside Jan Schaubler of Switzerland in lane 2. Sandro Gardella Bozzo of Peru is in lane 3. Niels Torre of Italy in 4. In lane 5 for the USA, it's Nicholas Arano. And in lane 6 for Estonia, Ilar Lut. Well, after the excitement of that previous race, I'm sure Hugh Moore won't have been aware of Nolan's incredible finish there. But how exciting for the Irish. I wonder how they'll go in this one.
Yeah, you know, I'm watching this race unfold, Robin. It's really exciting when you join us at about the 750-meter mark. And just wondering, you know, is Silvio Crosso of the last race sending good energy up to the start to her Italian lightweight teammate in the men's single sculls? And I think the same is true for Team Ireland. So it's Italy leading out of lane 4. That's Niels Torre, great pedigree. He won the lightweight men's single and World Cups 2 and 3. He was in the lightweight single that won at the Europeans earlier this year. So he's been building speed, and now this is the moment to really test that. We have a look then over at Switzerland, though, Kat, and just a beautiful picture here. The Swiss sculler's trying to do everything that he can to press in, but a bit of an answer, I think, from the Italian.
Yeah, the Italian's not letting him come through just yet. Jan Scheibler of Switzerland sculling really, really nicely here and is keeping him in touch with Niels Torre as they come through this second quarter of the race. Niels Torre has been absolutely flying this season. He's a real talent, a real find for the Italian team. And the Italians have this pedigree in this event. In the lightweight events, they have really nice system for the lightweight rowers. And Niels Torre showing his form here along with Jan Scheibler as they come through the halfway point. With 3 scullers to go through to the A final. The third place sculler right now is Estonia's Ilar Lut.
Yeah, it's looking good then for that Estonian sculler, Ilar Lut. He'll have to keep an eye on the rest of the field as well, but currently running third. And you can see then just a nice look at our 2 leaders, and over on the far side, Ilar Lut out of lane 6, so closest to us, the Swiss sculler, Jan Scheibel. Great pedigree from Jan Scheibel as well. Lots of international experience. He also raced in World Cup 3. He was in the lightweight men's single at World Cup 1, where he picked up a silver medal, third in the lightweight men's double at the 2019 championships of the U23s, the last time that this was raced. So in a qualifying position now, but then the real battle happening just behind them. Peru holding now onto that qualifying position as we look across the field.
Yeah, it's tight back there, isn't it? The Peruvian sculler, Sandro Gardela Bozzo, just making the most of it in this battle for third place. And there are 3 boats currently challenging for that. Alongside the Peruvian, it's Hugh Moore for Ireland and also Estonia's Elar Lut. These 3 scullers looking to take that third qualifying slot. The 2 scullers up front, though, can be reasonably confident of the advantage they've built through the first part of this race. Niels Torre, really confident, great rhythm coming from his boat. He's at 33 strokes a minute. Through 1,500 metres, he still holds on to an advantage of 0.84 seconds ahead of Jan Scheibler from Switzerland. The Estonian just getting better of the best of the sculler from Peru as they come through that timing marker, but it's really close for that third qualifying position.
Yeah, isn't it? And just a beautiful look then as they come through. Italy, that's Niels Torre, quick off the start, able to hold that momentum into the body of the race. That's Jan Scheibel just behind him. And as mentioned, Elar Lut from Estonia, able to slip into that third place position. Quite heartbreaking, I'm sure, for the Peruvian sculler. Rob, there's 3 to go through. It's looking like we have our top 2, but of course anything can happen as we move into the last 250 meters. Will Elar Lut hold on to it from Estonia? And in fact, it looks like Peru has slipped back into third.
Yeah, it's you're right. Elar Lut does seem to have pretty much cemented his place in that third qualification spot. That's really the exciting bit to watch is third and fourth. Is there going to be a change up there? Looks too late for Hugh Moore of Ireland and indeed for Aronau of the United States. But it's Niels Torre of Italy leading the way ahead of Jan Scheibler of Switzerland in second, Elar Lut of Estonia in third.
Skiffery lehkých vah a tady také platí 2 semifinále. Z každého semifinále postupují 3 nejrychlejší závodníci. Na první pozici zatím suverénně Niels Torre, Ital, který už má na svém kontě letos 2 vítězství v rámci světového poháru. Minulý rok byl na mistrovství Evropy na 2. místě a ukazuje svoji extra třídu. Tohle to bude suverénně první místo a postup do finále.
Yeah, it's going to be the Italian Torre taking first place ahead of second place Scheibler of Switzerland. Who is going to take that all-important third slot? I think the Estonian across in lane 6 is just going to hold on to it. Hugh Moore making a huge burst, just a little bit too late. It's Lut of Estonia hangs on to that third qualification spot. So Niels Torre of Italy, Jan Scheibler of Switzerland, Elar Lut of Estonia are the 3 qualifiers for the A final of the lightweight men's single sculls. The remaining competitors will contest the B final.
Niels Torre, Ital, udržel první místo a postupuje tedy do finále z první pozice. Na 2. místě pak Švýcar Jan Schauble, ten je výborný také ve dvojskifu. Zároveň je to druhý muž mistrovství světa z roku 2019 právě v disciplíně dvojskif. A na 3. pozici, pojďme si ještě počkat na oficiální potvrzení, kdo doplní italsko-švýcarskou dvojici také ve finále skifu mužů lehkých vah, protože na 3. místě by měl být podle všeho Estonec. Počkáme si ale ještě na definitivní potvrzení. Je to tak, rozdíl 7 desetin mezi Estoncem a Irem. Ital, Švýcar a Estonec. První 3 postupují do finále, do souboje o zlatou, stříbrnou a bronzovou medaili.
Second semi-final of the lightweight men's single sculls. The lineup is this. It's Argentina's Pedro Jose Kirk-Dixon in lane 1, Rasmus Lind of Denmark in lane 2, Lazar Penev of Bulgaria in lane 3, in lane 4 for Greece, Antonios Papakonstantinou, in lane 5 for Germany, Max von Bülow, and in lane 6, Brazil, Pedro Tuchenhagen. And they are underway in this one. And again, it's going to be a closely fought race, isn't it, for those front 3 qualification spots for that A final.
Yeah, that's right, Rob. It's incredibly exciting as they then move into the second quarter. And it's a good look for Greece. That's Antonios Papakonstantinou out with a good advantage over the rest of the field. You can see clear water back to the rest of his competitors. It's good for the Bulgarian sculler as well. So he's holding one of those coveted qualifying positions. And then over to Argentina, while they were third in a qualifying position to pass through the 500, they've been overtaken by Germany. So just a beautiful shot then of the Greek sculler, a great pedigree from him. He finished 7th in the men's double at the final Olympic qualifying regatta. So not able to qualify for the Olympics, but fantastic to see him here. Previously, he rode in the pair. He's more recently switched to the double. And so he's making the most of it here, making sure that he can really punch his ticket to that A final.
Here, the shot of the Greek sculler. He's at 35 strokes a minute. The style here is reminiscent of what we've seen from the Greek sculler in the women's event from Anastasiadou. Both these Greek scullers have a very distinctive lean back. They use the body with a great deal of acceleration through to the finish, and they're using that power they generate to make some acceleration. It really is a very dynamic stroke through the middle part there. And he's using this rating as well to gain really quite an advantage at this stage. So through 1,000 metres, we've got a big spread forming now through the field. A couple of lengths of clear water separating the Greek sculler from the second place sculler. And it's tight for second place between Bulgaria and Argentina now, with a little gap back to Germany, Brazil and Denmark.
And that's a look then at the crews in the top 3 qualifying positions. Again, it's 3 to advance to final A. So a good advantage for the Greek sculler. Perhaps not surprising when we look across at times from the prior round. He had quite an advantage qualifying for this quarterfinal directly from the heat. So able to skip a repechage and with a faster time by a good 15 seconds over some of these other competitors, 10 to 15 seconds. So his job is to row long, to row powerfully. That's exactly what he's doing up at the front. That's a look then out of bow 3. That's the Bulgarian sculler, and then closest to us, the Argentinian, holding that 3rd place qualifying position. So the two of them having a little bit of a battle, but making sure you can see him just glancing over his right shoulder, the Argentinian sculler. That's Pedro Jose Kirk-Dixon, to make sure he holds that spot. So they're moving through the third 500 then, looking like it'll take something special to catch up to the Greek sculler, but they don't really need to, do they, Kat? It's like, if you can stay in this position, this is exactly where you want to be to advance through.
Yeah, they can be reasonably confident of those qualifying places to the A final. The Greek sculler up at the front here, he definitely has some confidence. He's dropped the rate of striking to 30 strokes a minute. In the early stages of the race, he was way up at 37. But down at 30 strokes a minute, he's in control. He's got somewhere to go if an attack forms from the two scullers behind him. But there's a bit of clear water now coming into this final quarter, separating first place from second place. But it's oh so tight in second place here, just 0.03 of a second between the Bulgarian and the sculler from Argentina. These two, I think, also reasonably confident, Colleen. They've got a 5-second gap back to the Danish sculler in a 4th place.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's pretty clear at this point that these three will advance, barring any upsets. And great to see Lazarov Penev of Bulgaria not in the picture at the moment, but out of lane 3 and holding that qualifying position. He just missed the podium at the first World Cup earlier this year, finishing 4th in the lightweight men's single. So has been building speed, has been building his season really to this moment. So Rob, as they come through the final 250 meters, it's looking good for these three scullers. Certainly for Greece, it would take a bit of effort, I think, to catch him as they come through.
Yeah, he's totally controlled this race, hasn't he? And still has total control. And as you say, he's got enough left in the tank should an attack develop. So he's in first place with Bulgaria's Penev in second, Dixon of Argentina in third. And then it's quite a long way back now to the chasing pack.
3 závodníci, kteří postupují a platí to také pro tuto semifinálovou jízdu. Zatím vidíme suverénně první, druhé a také třetí místo zástupci Řecka, Bulharska a Argentíny. Co se týká Dána Linda Rasmusena, tak to je borec, který v tuto chvíli bude chtít ještě útočit, ale my můžeme vidět ty, kteří rozhodně jedou pro velké finále světového šampionátu.
So Papa Konstantinou of Greece comes down to cross the line in first place. He's made this race very much his own. There's a huge push, though, going on here in lane 1 from the Argentine Dixon, who wants to take second, but he's going to get third. Pipped to it by Penev of Bulgaria, who's held on to that second place. So it's Greece, Argentina, Bulgaria and Argentina, the 1, 2, 3 for the lightweight men's single sculls.
skiff mužů a lehkých vah a semifinále číslo 2, které poslalo do finále, do souboje o medaile na světovém šampionátu kategorie do 23 let řeckého reprezentanta, a to konkrétně ve vítězném čase na druhé pozici Lazar Penev, kterého teď můžeme také sledovat, a co by trojku, kterou vyšleme, respektive on sám díky svým výsledkům poslal do velkého finále, tak to je Argentinec Pedro Dixon, který je tedy na třetí pozici. Reprezentanti Dánska, Německa a Brazílie jdou do finále B.
So just to confirm, Greece, Bulgaria, Argentina will join Italy, Switzerland and Estonia in the A final of the lightweight men's single sculls. Back up at the start line, we've got the first semi-final of the women's double sculls with Canada in lane 1, Italy in lane 2, the Netherlands in lane 3, with Greece in lane 4. Lane 5 is Belarus and Switzerland in lane 6. Here is the start from just a few moments ago. All crews getting underway safely. It looks like lane 4 getting a good head start as well. That's Greece. But how are they looking then around the 500-meter mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's rightly said, Rob, because Greece continues to hold the lead as they move through that 500, and you can see the nice advantage that they have really over the rest of the field. That's perhaps not surprising. They came off the line at 49 strokes per minute. In the prior round, in the heats, they were the fastest of this group to make it to the 500-meter mark. So we expected that from them, and I think at this point you can start to see it unfolding. In fact, as we look, they'll need to hold off the rest of the field to grab one of those top 3 qualifying positions. They're well on their way, which means the real race happening just behind them. 3 spots and 4 boats in contention at the moment.
This Greek duo here have built up a really good advantage through the first 750 metres. They've now got clear water over the rest of the field, and it's oh so tight between the 3 crews behind them. We've got the crew in lane 5, Belarus, Netherlands and Italy, nearly nothing separating them at this point. 3 positions in the A final up for grabs. It's going to be an exciting one to see how this develops further down the course. The Netherlands just starting to push through Italy a little bit. Italy had that early showing. They were second through 500 metres. The Dutch were third. The Dutch just taking a small advantage. But this Greek duo, again, we're seeing this Greek shove, this drive with the bodies through the stroke. They hold the body so far forward through the leg drive, and then they use a great deal of leverage in the last part of the stroke. It gives them some acceleration off the finish. They can let that flow on. It really is a dynamic stroke, this Greek sculling style. It's still holding them with clear water as they come through halfway. They've got that advantage still over the crews behind them, but this is going to be a tight semi-final.
Yeah, I think that's right, Kat, and it's a good comment about their rhythm, because they are rowing it about 2 to 3 beats lower really than the rest of the field, which of course tells us that they have somewhere to go in the final 500 meters if they need it, the final 250 meters. They're making the best of it though at the top of the field, and you know, Evangelina Fragou of Greece, she's in the stroke seat. We saw her at the 2019 Junior World Championship. She took 6th in the final in the junior women's double, so good experience and really building on that at the under 23 level. Just behind her, the battle unfolding though, just on either side of Greece. That's the Netherlands out of lane 3 and Bulgaria on the far side. That means that the Italians out of lane 2 just slipping back a little bit. It's 750 meters down. It's that critical third quarter of the race, and I think that battle, Cat, starting to close in on Greece just a bit. They're losing a little bit of their lead.
Yeah, they are indeed. They had clear water at halfway, and that's been eaten up by the Dutch crew. And also at the top of your picture there, from the Belarus crew of Belarus. These 3 now sitting in those qualifying positions potentially for the A final. The Italians had that early showing. They've slipped back a little bit, but this Greek double now under pressure. Look at that bow ball, number 3 of the Netherlands moving up on them. That gap now only half a length as they come into the final quarter of the race.
Yeah, and the Netherlands posting the fastest time of this bunch in the heat, so they were able to skip the repechage. And they've got a lot of experience, so it's maybe not surprising to see them turn it on a bit at the end as we close into the final quarter. They were the winners of the junior women's double at the 2019 juniors. This is the same combination. They took bronze in the junior quad in 2018 together, so they certainly know how to race well together, and I'm sure have a good communication going. It continues to be Greece, but the Netherlands charging, and Rob, as they come towards the last 250, it's the Netherlands moving faster, our graphics tell us, than Greece through the water. So what do you think? You think the Netherlands, they'll just get their bow on the right side of it as they come through this quarterfinal?
Quite possibly. I'm also keeping a very close eye on how Belarus and Italy are contesting that final qualification spot. It's going the way of Belarus, who are moving away from Italy slightly, closing the gap on the Netherlands, and Greece still just ahead.
První semifinále dvojskifů žen, opět první, druhé a třetí místo. Posádky, které postoupí do finále světového šampionátu kategorie do 23 let. Na prvním místě, tak to je velká přetahovaná, protože jak řekyně, tak také Nizozemky sjedou skutečně tělo na tělo a loď na loď. Rozdíl je minimální, aktuálně 4 metry. Velmi dobře jedou také reprezentantky Běloruska, které by se chtěly probojovat do finále a zatím k tomu mají velmi dobře nakročeno. První tedy zatím stále závodnice, které reprezentují Nizozemsko, těm je letos teprve 18 let, ale v tuto chvíli ukazují svoji sílu stejně staré, tedy spíše mladé řekyně, které jsou na úrovni prvního místa, Bělorusky aktuálně na 3. pozici.
Yeah, it is looking like Colleen's called this absolutely right, and the Netherlands have indeed broken through. They lead the way home with Italy in second, Belarus in third. Italy still making a charge, but it's going to be too late from them. The Greeks still want to overturn this. They are still pushing the Netherlands, but they've spotted it. They've just upped their rate to cross the line in first place, with Italy in second, Belarus coming home in third place. Those are the 3A finalists for the women's double sculls. Italy just missing out. They, along with Switzerland and Canada, will contest the B final.
Juniorské světové šampionky z roku 2019 Nizozemky to tedy zvládly a jsou na první pozici. Na druhém místě reprezentantky Řecka, postupují také Bělorusky, které dokázaly být časem 7:10:43 na 3. pozici, ztráta 3,5 vteřiny na Nizozemky, to teď ale není tak důležité. Důležité je, že postupují do finále této kategorie, tedy dvojskifu žen. Disciplína, která očekává za několik desítek vteřin ještě druhé semifinále. Italky na 4., Švýcarky na 5. a Kanaďanky na 6. místě jdou do finále B.
The lineup for the second semi-final of the women's double sculls sees Lithuania going in lane 1 with Argentina in lane 2. Great Britain taking up lane 3 alongside Germany in lane 4. In lane 5 it's Romania and Belgium in lane 6. They started just a few moments ago. Here's the replay of that start. All 6 crews away cleanly there, looking very close. And very good starts from all 6 of them. Now around the 500-meter mark, and I wonder who's got the edge here.
Yeah, it's a good look for Germany as we take a look across the field through that 500-meter point. You can see the German combination in the women's double sculls. A lot of power, really good swing, and they hold the advantage. Just next to them on either side, it's Great Britain out of lane 3. It's Romania out of lane 5. So those 3 starting to emerge. It's 3 to move into final A, and it's looking good for Germany. They were first again to cross at 500. It's looking like they'll be first to cross through to the halfway point. But we'll have a look then at that Great Britain crew. I don't know, Kat, if you can tell us anything about them, but I know that they're one certainly to be out for the A final as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be wanting to book a place in the A final. This duo from Great Britain, Catherine George and Zoe Adamson, both of Leander Club. Zoe Adamson also of Oregon State University. And one of the interesting things for me about this combination is the height difference between the 2 athletes. And it can pose challenges sometimes for the coaches. They can use the rigging and different faculties in training in order to be able to match the stroke length in the water. And they've certainly been able to do that here for this British crew. And coming back into Germany, the leading duo here here. We see this familiar German women's sculling style with that little break of the arms early in the stroke. They use that to really grip onto the water so they can accelerate it through. So we're approaching halfway. Germany will go through in first place. Great Britain have just taken second ahead of Romania. Let's see what the time gaps are at this point. So here come Germany, Great Britain, Romania. We'll possibly get the graphic in the bottom of the picture in just a second. Here we are, 1.85 seconds behind. That's Great Britain behind Germany. Romania just 0.4 of a second behind that.
And Germany then continuing to lead. That's right, Great Britain then moving into the second place position with Romania running third. Great Britain rowing in at 32 strokes per minute. The Romanian crew up at 35, which tells us that Great Britain does have somewhere to go if they need to. It's 3 to advance to final A. Germany, though, just looking so confident, and I love that comment about their sculling style. I think that's a perfect depiction of it here as we see them moving through the third quarter with just barely open water over the rest of the field. You can see in your picture on the right side, that's bows 5 and bow 3, Romania bow 5, Great Britain bow 3, and Great Britain and Romania having a bit of a battle, slight advantage to Great Britain, but Kat, as they come through, they're pushing each other quite hard with 7:50 to go.
Yeah, they really are pushing each other hard, these two crews challenging each other. And look at the contrasting styles here. We've got a really smooth and low rating style from this British crew, 32 strokes a minute. The Romanians in contrast at 36 and really dynamic through the water, tapping it along. And it'll be interesting to see how those two styles change as they come into their final sprints, if they need to use them in the closing stages. And here, back with the boat in lane 4, the German crew, they've led through every timing marker, and they're going to lead through this third intermediate timing point as we come closer to it. They're still at 35 strokes a minute, moving on really nicely together. Judith Gooser in the stroke seat, Cora Loch in the bows. And here through 1,500 metres, let's see the advantage over the other crews. So Germany, 5:17. It's now 2.2 seconds over Great Britain, so they've increased that just slightly in the last 500 metres.
Great Britain holding that confident 32 strokes per minute and still maintaining a slight edge over the Romanians. Now it's 3 to advance to final A, so top 3 positions are where you want to be. A nice look at the Germans holding on to that. But certainly, you know, the battle between Great Britain and Romania, well, wouldn't you like to have your bow on the right side of that to get to the line just ahead of your competitor? That's exactly the fight that we're seeing develop here between Great Britain and Romania. Great Britain just barely holding it, still at that 33, so they've taken it up 1 beat. Romania does the same to 37, but Rob, as these 3 crews come down the field, it's looking like we know who will make it through, but wow, they're making this race exciting for us, aren't they?
They certainly are, and that German crew, they're going to be the ones, I'm sure, who will hold on to that first spot. Second and third looks fairly assured now, but it's just which way round it's going to be. But look at this German crew, utterly assured, utterly confident, and they will cross the line in first place, barring a disaster.
Druhé semifinále dvojskifů žen a zatím naprostá dominance německé posádky a dvojice, která jede skutečně hodně uvolněně, vedla na prvním, druhém a také třetím mezičasu. Pokud se teď podíváme na pohled z komentátorské věže a také pohled televizních kamer, tak můžeme stále německou dvojici vidět na první pozici. Velmi dobře jedou také Britky a závodnice reprezentující Rumunsko. To by podle všeho měly být ty, které by také měly postoupit, ale počkejme si také na další výkony jednotlivých závodnic, které bojí o postup do finále.
Lithuania making a challenge for that third spot, but I think it's too late for them. But it's Germany who hold on. Romania are going to take the second one ahead of Great Britain in third. And Lithuania just half a length behind Britain, just leaving it too late to overtake them for that third qualification spot. So it's Germany in first, Romania second, Great Britain in third. They are through to the final where they'll meet the Netherlands, Greece and Belarus.
Německá posádka nakonec první vlastně od začátku až do cílového prostoru a cílové rovinky. Na druhé pozici Rumunky, třetí posádka Velké Británie. To jsou tedy země, které budou mít své zastoupení ve finále dvojskifů žen na letošním mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let ve veslování. Litevky, které 2 roky zpátky skončily třetí na mistrovství světa juniorek, jsou na 4. místě, jdou do Bčka, stejně jako Belgičanky a Argentinky. To tedy bude souboj o 7. a další pořadí světového šampionátu. Ještě jednou tedy potvrzení, do velkého finále postupují německé, rumunské a také britské posádky.
back up the lake to the start for the first semi-final of the men's double sculls. The lineup sees Romania going in lane 1 with Russia in lane 2, Belarus in 3, Switzerland in 4, France in 5, Italy in 6. This was the start just a few moments ago. All crews away safely and some fairly high stroke rates there from Russia in 2 in the initial stages. This is the Romanian crew in lane 1. 600 meters or so gone. Who's in front now?
Yeah, that's right, Rob. Some quick stroke rates off the line. And as you can see on the graphic, it's the Italians who lead at this point in the race, now well into the second quarter. But I have the same thought, and not just that they were quick off the lines, but several of these crews held 41, even 42 through the first 500 meters. So they're certainly gutsy. They're not afraid to use that stroke rate if they need to. For now, though, it's the Italians on the far side of your picture. So that's out of lane 6. They made it here through the repechage. Several of the other crews, Belarus and Switzerland rather, came through the heat. So they've earned their position, but they will need to keep an eye out for those two crews, the Belarus and the Swiss. And out of lane 4, you can see just that happening now, a threat from Switzerland underway.
Yeah, I think that threat from Switzerland you mentioned, Colleen, is a real threat for the Italians. The Italians still rating really high, the Swiss a couple of pips lower, and in contrast, the Swiss rhythm just looks a bit more sustainable, a little bit smoother. They're going to come through halfway. Italy's still in the lead, but the Swiss crew have really closed the gap in the last couple of hundred meters, so just half a second advantage now to Italy. Belarus and Russia also still in touch with a potential A final place. So moving away from 1,000 meters, the Italians have settled a little. They're at 37 strokes a minute. The Swiss have taken it up and they're matching that Italian rate. Both crews now at 37. The Swiss crew closing that gap every stroke.
And a nice look then at our 3 leaders, and you can just see on the right side of your picture, that's bow number 2 of Russia, who will certainly be looking to contest what's happening in the race at the moment, since just 3 crews will advance to Final A. And of course, this is the last chance to get there. So just everything on the line. And I think that's right, Kat, as we move through the 750 meters to go, that Swiss crew looking so strong and sustained, and they're now leading this race up at 37 strokes per minute. You can see their bow just edging out. Now, we saw this combination at the second World Cup. They finished 13th overall. We've seen them throughout the years in various junior and under 23 events. So they'll be looking to do everything they can to increase their position, and just a lot of swing and power as they come through on either sides of them. Quite the battle. Lanes 3, that is Belarus, and the Italians out of lane 6. Russia not quite in it anymore, it appears.
Been watching that crew from Belarus. They're moving on really nicely. They've got the rate at 34 strokes a minute. They're holding on to a fantastic rhythm as they come through 1,500 meters. They've poised themselves into a position here where they could sprint for a win in this semi-final if they choose to test that out here. Russia are back in 4th place. They're perhaps in touch to sprint through Italy. It's going to be a bit of ground to make up at this stage. Obviously, 3 boats to make it through to tomorrow's A final. Boat from Switzerland are looking really strong there. Belarus still poised with a potential sprint. Italy up in lane 6, also there in 3rd place. They could be under pressure, Rob, from Russia.
They could indeed, and the fact that they were holding first spot for well over half the length of the race, Italy, now dropping back to 3rd. I wonder if they're losing steam, and that might just allow the Russians to come in and take that 3rd place. But there's still a little gap between Italy and Russia for 3rd and 4th. But right now it's Switzerland leading Belarus and then Italy for those 3 A final qualification slots.
První semifinále dvojskifu mužů a výborně jdou Švýcaři, kteří se postupně posunuli až na první místo. Na druhé pozici se ztrátou 10 metrů aktuálně Bělorusové. Italové ztrácí 13 metrů, pokud se podíváme na to jasné měření. Ruský dvojskiv chce také bojovat o postup, protože opět první 3 posádky postupují do velkého finále a souboje o medaile na mistrovství světa. Nic to ale nemění na tom, že Švýcaři zatím hlídají první pozici.
Yeah, it's going to be a terrific finish, this one, as we come down to the finish line. Not far to go now. Italy are holding on, but first place is Switzerland. They're still holding on to that lead. Italy pushing it for second place ahead of the bow of Belarus, but it's Belarus who come home in second. Italy hold on to third. They make it through, and they'll be relieved from that after a big start and then losing ground. But first place Switzerland, second place Belarus, third place Italy. Those are the qualifiers for the A final. Russia, France, Romania will go through to contest the B final.
Ruský dvojskiv se nadechoval k velkému náporu, ale nakonec z toho nic nebylo ani v závěrečných 150 metrech. Platí tedy, že postup do finále pro dvojice, respektive posádky a dvojskify Švýcarska, Běloruska a Itálie z prvního, druhého a třetího místa. Švýcaři, kteří už si můžou oddechnout a skutečně se koncentrovat na to, že z nejlepší možné pozice postoupili ze semifinále až do souboje, který je tím soubojem závěrečným na mistrovství světa. Bělorusové jako druzí a Italové na třetím postupovém místě.
So who will join Switzerland, Belarus and Italy from the second semi-final of the men's double sculls? Croatia going in lane 1, Denmark in lane 2, Greece are in lane 3. In lane 4, it's Spain. Lane 5, Germany. Lane 6, Great Britain. So this is how they got underway just a few moments ago. Some really hard striking there from Greece in lane 3. They've around the 400-meter mark. It's looking very close between all 6 crews at this stage.
Yeah, it's incredibly close, Rob, and you can see these boats, many of them just level, but no doubt about it, Greece with the early lead, holding that advantage now through the first quarter of the race. Great experience in this boat across their junior years and across the under-23 era as well. And as we see Greece move through the 500 and the times come up on the graphic, indeed, they're the first to cross through. It's 3 to advance, though, to Final A. So taking a look then at Germany and Spain. Spain able to keep that momentum up and really try to pace themselves with Germany. Greece holding the advantage, but they'll need to keep an eye out, I think, from a charging Germany. That's bow number 5, the right side of your picture. They're certainly on the move, up at 36.
So 2 minutes into this race, the Greek crew at the front of this race at 39 strokes a minute. Interesting to see this Greek duo, slightly different style to the other Greek boats we've seen this morning. They've got more of a sort of classic upright sculling style. They're using their legs, they're pressing really hard, but they don't have that big body swing through to the finish that we've seen in the lightweight doubles and some of the singles. So more of a classic style here, slightly higher rating, 38 strokes a minute, and they're moving on really well through this second quarter, still with an advantage over Germany, who are currently riding in second. We just see them now at the top of the picture. This German crew, stroked by Moritz Wolf, Aaron Efanian in the bows. They're at 36 strokes a minute.
And Great Britain then making a threat for Spain. Spain holding that third place position, but Great Britain just maybe edging their bow over to make sure that they take one of those 3 qualifying positions. That is James Cart in the stroke seat, and James Cartwright and Ollie Costley in the bow seat. So Kat, you'll be happy to see a nice push, I think, from Great Britain as they come through. That's out of lane 6.
Always happy to see a push. Obviously, totally neutral commentating here. This Great Britain crew doing really nicely in 4th place, but Spain still holding the advantage through halfway behind Germany and Greece, with 3 boats to go through to tomorrow's A final. Greece here at the front of the field, still 39 strokes a minute. They're pushing towards 1250 metres. It's really dynamic still. The Germans at the top of your picture have taken it up 1 beat. They're at 37 strokes a minute. These 2 crews tracking at the front of the field. Here we pan back and we can see the Spanish crew who are riding in 3rd place. Great Britain just at the top of your picture, about 5 metres behind Spain.
Yeah, and Spain, credit, they came through the heat and they're able able to hold off Great Britain. So definitely a response there, I think, over the last several hundred meters to make sure that they kept their bow ahead. Spain at about 38 strokes per minute, Great Britain at 35. So with 3 crews to make it through and 4 crews really in contention, the time is now for Great Britain to make some kind of a move. Up at the front, though, Greece continues to lead. Germany just looking really sharp just behind them. Germany at 36 strokes per minute, Greece at 39, so not afraid to use the rating to solidify that spot. And a beautiful shot here then as they close in on the final 500. The time is now for Great Britain to go. Spain continues to hold.
We'll see them coming through 1,500 metres and the relative times at this point. So there's the margin separating Greece from Germany, 0.33 of a second. Spain some 3 seconds behind, and Great Britain still in touch with the potential to take one of those 3 positions in tomorrow's A final. Great Britain have taken it up to 37 strokes a minute. Spain still at 38 strokes a minute. Greece is still leading the way. The Germans, however, are closing in now. Germany still at 37 strokes a minute, but they've pressed on and they're taking a little bit more every stroke. Greece holding on to that advantage. And here we're panning back to the battle for the 3rd qualifying slot. Great Britain still at 36 now. Spain at 38. These 2 crews are battling for one of those qualifying slots, Rob. With 3 places in tomorrow's A final, this could be an exciting semi-final down to the line.
Absolutely thrilling, and we've got 2 real battles here going, haven't we? One for 1st and 2nd, and then perhaps more importantly, that race for 3rd and 4th. 3 crews, as you say, going through to the A final. Great Britain are still outside that. Spain taking up that 3rd place. Greece in the lead with Germany right beside them.
Jenom 3 posádky postupují a teď společně můžeme sledovat také ten souboj o 3. a 4. místo. Kdo skončí 4., toho čeká jen a pouze finále B. 1. a 2. pozice je jasně daná, vidíme tam také Němce a také závodníky, kteří reprezentují Řecko. Teď ale souboj o 3. pozici.
It looks like Germany are going to take 1st place here, and it's a really close one. Great Britain have moved right up here now. They're even going to take possibly 2nd. It's Greece who takes 2nd. Great Britain qualify in 3rd place, and they've managed to pip 4th place Spain for that last qualification spot. That is a superb row from the men's double from Great Britain. But it's Germany who crossed the line in 1st place ahead of Greece in 2nd, Great Britain in 3rd. So it's Germany, Greece and Great Britain who'll go through with Switzerland, Belarus and Italy to contest the A final of the men's double sculls.
Ještě 300 metrů před cílem byli Britové na 4. místě, stejně jako celou část závodu, konkrétně téhleté semifinálové jízdy číslo 2. Nakonec se ale probili na 3. postupové místo. Lépe si to pohlídali dvojice Němců a také dvojskyv Řeků, kteří postupují z 1. a 2. místa, ale byl tam skutečně ten velký souboj britských závodníků se Španěli. Španělům to nakonec nestačí a končí na 4. místě. Pohled na britskou dvojici dvojskyv, který to zvládl za 6 minut a 17 vteřin. Posádky Německa, Řecka a Velké Británie postupují do zítřejšího velkého finále v souboji o medaile. 4., 5. a 6. místo, tedy Španělé, Chorvaté a Dánové do finále B.
We now move to the semi-finals of the men's 4. Greece are in lane 1, nearest to camera. In lane 2, it's Italy. Romania in lane 3. Great Britain taking up lane 4, alongside Ireland in lane 5. Russia in lane 6. This was them getting underway from the start just a few moments ago. This is the Greek crew growing in lane 1. How are they further down the course now?
Yeah, it's looking good for Ireland. You can see the green unisuits of Ireland out of lane 5 with a good 3/4 length advantage or so out of over Great Britain out of lane 4. It's 3 to advance to final A, just as we saw in the prior round. And it's a beautiful sight there, isn't it? Because you can see truly all of these boats in contention, but especially in that last shot, those 4. So the Irish lead, Great Britain then holding on to that 2nd qualifying position. And then over to Romania in 3rd. They're through that 500-meter point, moving towards the halfway.
This Irish crew moving so nicely in the first part of this race. Really nice rhythm coming from them. The stroke man in the Irish boat, John Kearney, setting that up really well for his crew. And looking at this crew from Great Britain, interestingly, they've got a sub on board today. Daniel Graham has had to come out of the boat. He would normally be in the bow seat. That position now filled by Callum Sullivan, who's been part of the 8th group. So here we have it through 750 metres, and that Irish advantage still holds. Great Britain's still holding on to second place. It's really close here behind them. Romania moving very well in 3rd place, but there's not much separating them from the 4th place Greek crew.
That's right, and now they're closing in on the final halfway point. And my eye just keeping a close look at Greece as well. They've kicked it up to 38 strokes per minute, although credit to the Italians who are rowing it up at 40, so using that to their advantage. But Greece certainly taking some kind of a move over the last 10 to 15 strokes. We'll see if that can put them into one of those qualifying slots, at least for now. But as we pan in, indeed, it is Team Ireland continuing to hold the advantage at the halfway point. Another thrilling race developing, Kat, here. 3 slots and several of these boats still in contention.
Yes, another really nice semi-final here. They're moving away from 1,000 metres. We get a great view here from this camera on the top of the 1,000-metre timing point of all the crews moving into this 3rd quarter of the race. Here's the Irish boat. They've got 2/3 of a length advantage over Great Britain. That Irish crew, John Kearney in the stroke seat, Ross Corrigan in the 3 seat, Alex Byrne and Jack Dorney in the bows. Panning back down the course, there's Great Britain. Here's the battle for 3rd place right now. We've got Romania just back from Great Britain, along with Russia at the top of your picture, and also Greece on this near side, still in the mix. Those 3 crews, just 1 metre separating them. There's 750 metres to go. This is a great semi-final.
Oh, it's incredible, isn't it? So Team Ireland up in front. It looks like Great Britain maybe even challenging the Irish as we come through in this 3rd quarter of the race. So a good look for both of those teams. Good power, good swing, but indeed Romania and Greece, the battle. A little bit more water from the Irish, but credit to this Irish crew. They're able to hold on. They're up at 37 strokes per minute. Great Britain takes it up to 38 strokes per minute. Absolutely thrilling as these crews come down the course. It continues to be Romania holding on to that qualifying position. But as we look across, it's Russia out of lane 6, in fact, threatening that. So Rob, as we close in to the final few hundred meters, we see that Russia has indeed moved into 3rd place. So it's Ireland, Great Britain, and Russia. Romania, will they have a response? 3 slots, several of these athletes in contention.
The Romanians will be devastated by that move from Russia. They kind of came out of nowhere, didn't they, from lane 6. They've been back in 5th place, but now in contention for the A final. Russia, along with Ireland, just leading Great Britain in these closing stages.
4 bez kormidelníka a první semifinále opět platí to, co jsme viděli také v ostatních a předešlých disciplínách. První 3 posádky postupují do finále v souboji o medaile. Aktuálně na první pozici posádka Irska, na 2. místě pak Britové a o 3. místo si to pravděpodobně ještě rozdají závodníci Ruska a také Rumunska, protože ten rozdíl mezi nimi je aktuálně 4, maximálně 5 metrů. Tak tohle to bude souboj právě o 3. závěrečné postupové místo.
Romania still desperate to try and reclaim that 3rd qualification spot here ahead of the Russians out in lane 6, Romania in lane 3. But as we come down to the finish line, it's been Ireland's race all the way from the start. They're going to take 1st place. They've rowed a terrific race, the Irish 4 here. Great Britain are battling it for 2nd with that Russian crew for 3rd place. Romania have lost out here. It's Ireland who take 1st place. Great Britain across the line in 2nd, a length and a quarter behind. And just alongside them in 3rd place, Russia. They are absolutely thrilled with that finish. It was a final charge for them. It was a risky tactic. It paid off. So it's Ireland, Great Britain and Russia who are through to the A final of the men's 4.
A to jsme zatím viděli jen a pouze semifinále. Nejlepší výkony očekáváme ve finále, ale tohle to byl skutečně skvělý souboj Rumunům a této posádce to nakonec nestačilo, přestože zhruba 250 metrů hodně stíhali právě posádku Ruska, která ale nakonec končí na postupovém 3. místě. V tuto chvíli ještě Britové 5:58.24 a 2. pozice. Už jsme měli tu čest vidět také irskou posádku, která byla dnes nejrychlejší v prvním semifinále, konkrétně 4 bez kormidelníka Řecka a postupuje tak z první pozice. Irsko, Velká Británie a Rusko, 3 posádky, které uvidíme ve finále mistrovství světa. Rumuni, závodníci Řecka a Itálie jsou pak ve finále B.
So the second semi-final of the men's four, it's got something to live up to, hasn't it, in terms of excitement, and I'm sure it will. Spain going in lane 1, with Switzerland in lane 2, Belarus in 3, Canada lane 4, Germany lane 5, Czech Republic in lane 6. This is up at the start just a few moments ago. All crews getting away with a very solid start, rating well. And we're just looking at the Czech crew, the home nation, out there in lane 6. How are the Czechs looking now in these early stages around the 300-metre mark?
Yeah, it's looking fantastic, isn't it, Rob? You can see all of these crews just so tightly packed as they move through. So the locals will be thrilled. Mira will be thrilled to tell us about this Czech crew a little later on. But for now, the show belongs to the Canadians. The Canadians posting the fastest times of the heat, and by a good less than 10 seconds, but between about 7 and 8 seconds. And we can see that power, that rhythm really working for them nicely in this 4 as we move through the first quarter.
Yeah, look at this rhythm coming from the Canadian boat. This is really textbook fours rowing here. Really great job of the coaching in this crew, the solidity in them. They're coming through 500 metres. They've got a 1.24 second advantage over Belarus. And this Canadian crew, I've got to say, it's a really fine technique coming from them. So high expectations for what follows in this race. They're using what we call a bucket rig, where the stroke man is on stroke side. You've got 2 rowers on bow side in the middle of the boat, and then the bow man is also on stroke side as the stroke man is. So back from this Canadian crew, we have Belarus in second place. Third place right now is Germany, with Switzerland oh so close behind them.
And a nice look then at the bottom of your picture, that's lane 1, Spain, Switzerland out of lane 2, and then yes, over to Belarus out of lane 3. So it's 3 to move on to final A. As we know, the Canadians, they got out quickly. They've held that pace. It looks like now through the 750 that they're going to carry that momentum through with them to the 1,000. That's John Wakely in the stroke seat of the Canadian shell, Peter Landshire, Adam Kroll, and Liam Keane. Good clear water then back to the rest of the field. So we'll have a look then at Switzerland. Again, it's 3 qualifying positions, so it's looking good for Belarus out of lane 3 and Germany out of lane 5. But the Swiss crew moving quite nicely as well. Not quite in contention yet, but they're up at 38 strokes per minute. They're moving similar speeds, at least to Belarus. So as we move through the halfway point, it is the Canadians, but we'll have an eye for the Swiss crew.
The Canadian crew moving on well here, 2:55 through 1,000 metres, 3.44 seconds back to Belarus, Germany just behind, and Switzerland 1.5 seconds behind them, roughly. The Canadian crew still up at 37 strokes a minute. This crew, John Walkie in the stroke seat, Peter Lancashire, Adam Kroll and Liam Keane in the bows.
And a beautiful look then at the power and the acceleration. So up at the top of the field, it's got to feel pretty good as they move through this third quarter. And then back a look at bows 3 and 5. That's Belarus and Germany then. Germany perhaps with a slight advantage now, able to put themselves just ahead of Belarus, but truly just barely maybe a bow ball. They're trading places as they come through the 750. Bow number 2, well, that's the bow of Switzerland, as mentioned. They've raced together a fair amount this season in the senior circuit, both at the first World Cup where they took 5th, the second World Cup where they took 10th overall. So a little bit of a charge from them coming down the line, but it's going to take something special. And of course, their competitors just behind them, that's Belarus and Germany, can see that charge happening. So getting pretty exciting. But as we pan over to the Canadians, that's got to feel pretty nice as they move through that swing and drive to the last stretch.
Yeah, they can see they're in control of this race. Coming through 1,500 metres, I'm interested to see the time. That intermediate time at 1,000 metres was the same as the previous semi-final. So at that stage, Canada moving exactly the same speed as Ireland had been. So we could see how these things compare through the race. It's pretty interesting to compare that. Belarus and Germany still sitting in those potential A final qualifying slots with Switzerland, Spain and Czech Republic in 4th, 5th and 6th.
Closing in then on the final stretch, another look at the Canadians, John Wakely, Peter Landshire, Adam Kroll, and Liam Keane. Again, with the fastest time from the prior round, so not shocking to see them up into the front. And it's looking like Switzerland then moving out of contention a little bit off the pace as Belarus and Germany really look to solidify those two spots. So as this race comes down, Rob, well, it's good for the Canadians, isn't it? But will it be Belarus or Germany to get their bow ahead? It's 3 to move through, but no doubt they're having a bit of fun racing at the moment.
Yeah, I wonder how much they're really enjoying it. But yeah, that battle is a good one, isn't it, for 2nd and 3rd? As you say, the battle between 3rd and 4th, I think, may be over. Perhaps Switzerland, Spain, Czech Republic now just a little bit too far back. But the battle up front, Canada look like they've got control of this one. Belarus and Germany still battling it out for 2nd and 3rd.
4 Kanady, Běloruska, také Německa zatím to mají nejlépe rozjeté a v tuto chvíli budou na prvních 3 místech. Česká 4 půjde do finále B.
Down to the finish line, it is Canada that take first spot. Second goes to the crew from Belarus in lane 2, and over in lane 5, it is indeed the Germans who take third. A terrific attempt there by Switzerland, but it was too late for them, I'm afraid. They just miss out. They're in 4th place. They'll make it through to the B final. But let's just confirm the A finalists then for this men's 4. It's Canada, Belarus and Germany who go through to join Ireland, Great Britain and Russia in the medal race.
Cíl semifinálové jízdy číslo 2 protnuli také reprezentanti České republiky. 4 České republiky tedy do finále B, tam bude ale velký souboj s dalšími silnými týmy. My se podíváme na aktuální pořadí této semifinálové jízdy z pohledu postupu do Ačkového finále. Kanada 1. místo, Bělorusko 2. místo a posádka Německa ze 3. pozice. Na 4. místě Švýcaři jako 5. Španělé a český tým a česká reprezentace aktuálně na 6. místě. Tak jak můžeme také vidět, Kanaďané nejrychlejší za 5 minut 57 vteřin a 67 setin. Jasný postup do finále A.
We now have the first semi-final of the men's quadruple sculls. Norway taking up lane 1 alongside Argentina in lane 2. Lane 3 is Italy. Lane 4 is the Czech Republic. France are in lane 5 with Lithuania in lane 6. So Czech Republic there in lane 4 looking good as they pulled away from the start just a short while ago. Some 300 metres gone. I wonder how they're looking now.
It's looking really good for the Czech Republic, Rob, right now. They're coming through this first quarter of the race. They've had a great clean start and they're leading the way at this stage. So this is the flagship crew for the Czech team, this under-23 team. This is their best hope for a medal. And I think that they'll know exactly what colour they want that medal to be. I won't make any predictions for the team, but they'll be very happy to see the Czech crew leading the way at this stage. So the crew, stroked by Filip Zima, is up at 40 strokes a minute still as they come towards the 500-metre timing point. They've still got that advantage just about 2 metres ahead of the crew from France, and Italy also very close here.
Yeah, so as you can see, the 3 boats having a bit of a battle up at the front and then a little bit of margin back to the other crews. 3 to advance to Final A, so their last shot at contesting for places 1 through 6 in the world in the men's quad. A good push from Italy then puts their bow ahead. They're up at 39 strokes per minute and managed to press ahead of the Czech Republic. Czech Republic then now running in that 2nd place position, and then it's over to France. So those are the 3 up at the top. And then over on the far side, on the right side, closest to us, Argentina out of lane 2. Norway is out of lane 1. And then over away from us, Lithuania out of lane 6. So top of the pack, it continues to be Italy, the Czech Republic, and France.
Italy at the front of this race, rating 38 strokes a minute. It's given them that advantage ahead of the Czech crew. The Czech crew have responded and taken it up to 39 strokes a minute now. This Italian rhythm, it's really nice here, set up by Pietro Cangialosi in the stroke seat. They've got Leonardo Tedoldi on board in the 2 seat. He's a silver medalist from the Junior World Championships in 2019 in this event. And these Italian scullers know how to move well together, as do the scullers in the Czech crew. They've got 2 members of the senior men's quad on board, Filip Zima in the stroke seat, Tomáš Sisma in the 2 seat. And Tomáš Sisma knows what it is to win on this course in a championships. He took a gold medal here back in 2018 in the Junior World Championships.
And a good look then as these crews come towards the final stretch of this race. The Italians making a bit of headway now on the Czech Republic. The Czechs out of lane 4, and then France still holding 3rd place out of lane 5. So good power from the Czech shell. They're up at 38 strokes per minute, and the Italians at 38 strokes per minute as well. So the Italians just being a little bit more efficient through the water to have that half a length advantage or so. And all of these crews, as you can see, separated by about a half a length or so as they move through the 750 to go. Perhaps a bit of a response from the Czech crew. We'll see if they're able to catch up to the Italians, but they don't quite need to. As you can see, the gap between these 2 leading 3 on their way to advance to Final A, and well on their way to do it.
1,400 metres gone, and yeah, Colleen, there's that big gap now, isn't there, between the first 3 crews and the 4th, 5th and 6th place crews. I think that changes the psychology a bit, somewhat, for all the crews in this race. Certainly no let up on the rate at the front end of this course. The crew from Argentina, who are currently in 4th place, are at 40 strokes a minute now, doing everything they can to close the gap. They've got some 28 metres to make up on France if they want to take one of those A final places. We see here through 1,500 metres, Italy go through in 4:20. The gap there between 3rd and 4th place, just over 5 seconds now, separating those A final qualification spots and the B final qualification spots. So we pan back down through this final quarter, Rob. It's still Italy in the lead. They've got almost a length ahead of the Czech Republic. It looks pretty safe for these 2 crews to qualify for tomorrow's A final, as does it for France. And here, this Italian crew have led for a substantial part of this race. They overtook the Czech crew through 600 metres, and they're taking it home through the last 250.
Yes, it looks pretty safe, doesn't it, for these 3 crews, although France have dropped their rate just a little bit now. They're a little bit further back, but so is Argentina in 4th. So we've still got these 2 groups of 3 boats in each group, and it looks like these qualification slots for the A final are certainly going to go the way of Italy, the Czech Republic and France.
Párové 4, které tady jedou o postup do finále, Italové vedou zhruba o 1 délku lodě před českou 4, která jede naprosto skvěle a hlídá si postup do velkého finále. Na 3. pozici Francouzi, tady je to pěkně oddělené. Češi, které nemine finále právě v této disciplíně.
Italy coming down the line for the last few strokes, looking as smooth as you like as they cross the line in first place, 3/4 of a length ahead of the Czech Republic in second, a length ahead of France in third. It is Italy, Czech Republic and France who go through to contest the A final of the men's quad sculls. For Argentina, Lithuania and Norway, it's the B final.
Česká párová 4 ve složení Daniel Nosek, Tomáš Šišma, Dalibor Neděla a Filip Zima pod vedením kouče a trenéra Jana Navrátila. To je ta 4, která bude bojovat o co nejlepší umístění ve finále mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let, protože v semifinále číslo 1 skončila na 2. pozici. Vyhráli Italové, Francouzi na 3. místě, to jsou tedy posádky, které postupují skutečně mezi absolutně nejlepší. Teď už můžeme vidět také 4 České republiky. Ještě jednou Daniel Nosek, Tomáš Šišma, Dalibor Neděla a Filip Zima. Skvělé 2. místo v semifinále. Jako 3. tedy Francouzi. Co se týká posádek Argentiny, Litvy a Norska, ty ze 4. až 6. místa jdou do finále B.
So who will join Italy, Czech Republic and France in the finals from the second semi-final of the men's quad sculls, with Russia in lane 1, Poland lining up in lane 2 alongside the Netherlands in lane 3. In lane 4 is Germany, with Romania in lane 5, Chile taking up lane 6. Up at the start just a short while ago, the crew's getting underway with a good rate of strike here, and over in lane 3, Netherlands looking pretty fast as well. So 200 metres or so gone. Who are the front runners in this one now?
They're just off picture at the moment, Rob, but I can confirm it is Netherlands. This view on camera right now is Russia, who are closest to the camera point and currently riding in 5th place. But here, this shot is perhaps a little bit deceptive. It is, in fact, the crew in lane 3 there from the Netherlands who have the advantage, and they've taken a bit of a lead here through this first quarter. They've got almost a length ahead of Romania and Germany, who are fighting it out for 2nd place. So we'll see as the camera pans round for this 500-metre timing checkpoint. It's been a fast first quarter for the Dutch crew.
Yeah, and a nice shot then as they come through that 500-meter mark of all of these crews. And a look at times then at the graphic in the bottom right. It is the Netherlands, then Romania and Germany. So 3 slots to advance to Final A. That's a look then at the Dutch boat. They're up at 40 strokes per minute. They were quick off the line. They've been able to hold that momentum now into the body of the race. And you can see just on the far side of them, Germany, Romania, and then Chile out of lane 6. Doing what they can to at least keep contact. It's looking like, though, the Dutch able to really press themselves away. When we take a look at speeds across the course, well, they're moving the quickest through the water, so that rhythm working for them, and we'll see if they can break into clear water by the 1,000. Certainly appears like that's their mission.
Yeah, they've almost got that clear water over the rest of the field, and emerging into 2nd place is this boat from Romania, who are still up at 40 strokes a minute. Back to this Dutch crew who are leading the way. They're stroked by Jan van Doorn. He was a bronze medalist in the men's 8 at the last Under-23 Championships in 2019. He also took home a silver medal from the junior men's 8 event at the European Championships in 2016, along with his crewmate Olaf Molinar, who sits in the 2 seat. They've moved from that sweep boat into the sculling boat, transferring the rhythm into this crew boat through halfway. That Dutch crew still lead, and in 2nd place we still have Romania, Germany and Poland, Russia 5th and Chile in 6th.
That's right. And it's interesting, Kat, to look at the Romanian shell. So they're currently holding 2nd place, Germany holding 3rd. The Romanian crew, they're at a 39 right now, but they were at a 40 just a moment ago. Germany rowing at a cool 5 beats lower. So really getting the work done through the water, and you can see the power and the acceleration from that German shell. That's working nicely for them. You mentioned Poland. I think that's really Germany's closest threat, and certainly Romania. If Germany is able to get their bow ahead of Romania, then the Romanian crew will have to look out for Poland.
Through 12.50, Poland are positioned well there for a sprint. They're just in 4th place, tucked in behind Germany. The Dutch crew have used the last 250 to extend their lead. They've just managed to break free and get clear water ahead of Romania. And Romania are finding the crews are starting to come back on them now. They've sat in that 2nd place with a really high rate of 40 strokes a minute. Germany and Poland both starting to come back. Poland now just 3 meters behind. Germany have actually been overhauled now by Poland. Coming up towards this final timing marker, the German crew holding on to 4th place, really close between them and Poland. We've got 4 boats really fighting it out now, a quarter of the race to go.
Oh, it's incredible. 500 meters to go. And yes, the Netherlands looking cool and collected. But oftentimes in these moments, that leading shell will have to be quite careful, because when the race really develops behind them, when there's nothing left to lose and you need to grab one of those spots in the A final, well, the rest of the field can get quite fast and come up to you. They're holding that position, though, and I'm sure they're experienced racers. They know that that's the case. They can see the field behind them. So they hold on to that 1st place position. But wow, what a battle to capture 2nd and 3rd. Germany holding on to 2nd, Poland holding on to 3rd. But Rob, as this race comes down, Romania, the time is now.
It sure is. This is thrilling stuff. Poland making that charge. It's so tight between them and the German crew for that final qualification slot. Netherlands, Romania, Germany seem to be leading at the moment. Poland in there as well.
Posádka Rumunska, která bude opět útočit, ztrácí ale na druhé a zároveň třetí místo zhruba 6 metrů, protože o to bojují další zástupci Nizozemci. Teď můžeme vidět také německou posádku, tak tohle to bude hodně vyrovnané. Pokud se podíváme také z komentátorské věže, tohle to je těsný souboj, kterému zatím vládnou Nizozemci, kteří se jedou nezatržitelně pro první místo a pro postup do finále právě mezi párovými čtyřkami.
So coming down to the finish line, and it's a really tight one this. Here come the Netherlands, who are going to take first place. It looks like second place is going to go to the crew over in lane 4 from Germany, but it's so tight. In fact, they're going to take second place. Yes, Germany takes second. They fought their way back, and in lane 2, it's victory for the crew from Poland. So what a finish here in this semi-final of the men's quadruple sculls. Netherlands crossing first ahead of Germany in second, Poland in third. It's Romania who miss out on the A final. They go through to the B final along with Russia and Chile.
Představujeme tak soupeře české párové čtyřky, která postoupila z prvního semifinále. Tohle je velká radost polských závodníků, kteří to stihli jen tak, ale nakonec ukázali svoji sílu, vytrvalost a především bojovnost v závěrečných zhruba 150 metrech. Na druhém místě německá posádka, nejrychlejší byli Nizozemci, kteří to zvládli za 5 minut 47 setin a 5 setin k tomu. Samozřejmě 7 a 40 sekund, to byla ta správná hodnota, kterou jsme viděli u Nizozemců. Postupují tedy také ze druhé pozice Němci a Poláci, kteří to zvládli. Co se týká Rumunů, závodníků Ruska a Chile, ty ze 4., 5. a 6. místa budou bojovat jen ve finále B.
Up at the start line, just watching the start a few moments ago of the first semi-final of the lightweight men's double sculls. Ireland going in lane 1, Austria in lane 2, Germany in lane 3, Belgium in lane 4. In lane 5, Portugal, lane 6, Canada. Early stages, any signs of which way this might go?
Well, there's a sign of some real attack in this German crew through 250 metres. Look at the dynamism, look at the attack at the front end of this stroke, look at how they're moving it through the water. Really aggressive start from Germany. They're settling a little bit now, 39 strokes a minute the rates come down to, and they've got a half-length advantage at this early stage over Belgium. That's the 1-2. Back from them, Austria and Portugal also fast in this early stage. So this German crew, stroked by Melvin, Müller, Ruschholz, Fabio Kress in the bows. They've got some experience racing in lightweight events, with a 5th place from the lightweight men's quads back in 2019 for the stroke man, 4th place in the 3rd World Cup in 2019 from the bowman. So they're suitable, they're experienced in this event, and they've weighed in this morning. Crew average 70 kilos, neither of them weighing more than 72.5 kilos, as is the case for these athletes right across the board. So Germany lead the way through that first timing marker, with Belgium half a length behind.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, isn't it, Kat? The first order of business is to weigh in. These athletes can then take a sigh of relief and then shift their focus on to the race. Germany continuing to hold that leading position. We'll have a look, though, over at Team Ireland. So it is Belgium running second, but ever so close to Ireland. And in fact, we'll have a look at times here. This is the stroke rate graphic in the bottom right, but times as they move through the 1,000. Not quite there yet, though. This is 750 meters down. Germany holding that lead, but maintaining contact. Well, that's Team Ireland and Belgium. Those three have started to separate themselves. We know that it's 3 to advance, but Kat, it's a nice look from Ireland, isn't it? They're up at 37 strokes per minute and having a nice second quarter of the race.
Yeah, the second quarter's going well for the Irish duo. It's Owen Gaffney in the stroke seat, Rory O'Neill in the bows. They're moving on really well here. It looks really clean and smooth from them. Pretty easy sculling, if you like. It certainly doesn't feel easy for them, but they're making it look easy with their beautiful technique. It's holding them close to the leading crew from Germany. Belgium also up there. There's Belgium duo, Thibaut Vivet and Marlon Colpert. So through 1,000 metres, that's the timing gap. Germany 3:06.86. Ireland 1.12 seconds behind, Belgium 0.6 seconds behind Ireland. And then we start to see this gap emerge here through halfway between Belgium and Ireland, between those first three crews with the potential for an A final position. It's a big gap to make up for the Austrian crew, perhaps not impossible, but they've really got to stay in touch now if they want to qualify for the A final tomorrow.
And we can see Ireland then making a nice push up at 37 strokes per minute. In fact, stroke rating right with Germany, so at the same pace, so to speak. But Ireland took some kind of a power move we saw here on our tablet that put them just a little bit closer to Germany. They're now moving pretty similar speeds as they come through with 750 meters to go. Belgium, well, as we can see, they're maintaining that third place position. They're not too far off from Ireland, and indeed even Germany. All three of these crews overlapped. But we'll have a look at what the Irish can do as we close in, not quite at the last quarter of the race, but just shy of it. Team Ireland maintaining that 37 strokes per minute. Germany as well, moving similar speeds, just shy of 500 to go. So, Kat, I think Belgium, their plan will just need to be to maintain, to grab one of those qualifying positions, and it's looking like they'll be able to do just that, barring any upsets.
Yeah, it really does look that way, doesn't it? There's a bigger gap now forming back to Austria. We'll be able to see that as the camera pans round here. Germany have held on to that first place right from the start of this race. Ireland have been coming back at them in the last few hundred metres. Belgium in third place, and that's the gap now between third and fourth. And it's Portugal who are sitting in fourth place now ahead of Austria. Coming through in sixth place is going to be Canada.
And closing in then on the final few hundred meters, Germany able to maintain that lead, the Irish not able to crack them. So Rob, we'll see if the Irish can put on one of their famous sprints. They don't quite need to, do they? Because it's 3 to move through and advance to final A, but they're getting just closer, barely.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd like to if they could, but as you say, why waste the energy if you're safe in managing to qualify for that A final spot? Belgium pushing the Irish for second place, but it's Germany who lead from Ireland, Belgium in third, and then Portugal a little bit further behind with the chasing pack of Austria and Canada.
Semifinále dvojskifu mužů zatím na první pozici stále neohroženě posádka Německa, na druhém místě Irové, kteří ztrácí i podle grafiky 7 metrů. Takový je souboj mezi prvním a druhým místem. Na třetí pozici jsou Belgičané, kteří si hlídají právě třetí postupové místo. Pokud dojedou v tomto složení, nebudou tak chybět také ve finále, které se určuje i pro tuto disciplínu. V tuto chvíli tedy stále dominantní posádka Německa.
So Germany leading the way home here to finish as winners in this first semi-final in the lightweight men's double sculls. Ireland have made a really good push as well. They are certain of taking second place, just 3/4 of a length behind Germany. And in third place, it's Belgium. So those are the qualifiers for the A final. Just too late there for qualification slot for the crew in lane 5. That's Portugal. So the A final qualifiers are Germany, Ireland and Belgium in this lightweight men's double sculls.
Belgičané už hodně buď to šetřili síly, nebo jim trošku došlo. V každém případě si pohlídali třetí místo. Portugalci už nestihli zareagovat v poslední 250. Německo první, Irsko na druhém a Belgie na třetím místě. Tak to je to také potvrzené. Nakonec se ztrátou na Belgii na čtvrté pozici plus 1,6 Portugalci, kteří ale stejně jako Rakušané a Kanaďané budou jen ve finále B. Nejúspěšnější posádky teď vidíme na prvním, druhém a třetím místě, protože takový byl klíč semifinále číslo 1. Ve stejné disciplíně nás čeká ještě semifinále číslo 2, tedy dvojskiv mužů lehkých vah za pár desítek vteřin. Teď ještě potvrzeno Německo, Irsko a Belgie. To jsou státy, které budou mít zastoupení ve finále dvojskifu mužů lehkých vah.
The second semi-final of the lightweight men's double sculls. It's Switzerland in lane 1, the Netherlands in 2, France in lane 3, Italy in lane 4. In lane 5, Poland received a yellow card for being late to the start. The United States are in lane 6. Underway just a short while ago here as we tighten in on the crew from Switzerland here in lane 1. A couple of 100 metres down the course, how have things shaped up? And they've, of course, got Kat Holloway and Colleen Saville with us.
It's shaping up nicely right now, Rob, for the Italian duo. They've managed to get clear water over the rest of the field in just a couple of 100 metres. They shot out of the blocks and moved on really well. So they're holding this advantage as we come towards the first timing marker. Closest to them is the crew from Switzerland, this duo of Rafael Almuda Island and Gian Struzzina. They're currently riding in second place, 1.89 seconds down on Italy, as you see on the graphic there.
And a nice look for Switzerland closest to us out of lane 1. A good swing from that crew, and really 4 crews in contention for 3 qualifying spots. But no doubt about it, the Italians well on their way to capture one of those positions as we move through this stretch of the race. So the Italians with open water back to the rest of the field. That's Switzerland, again, lane 1, France out of lane 3. And then over on the far side, well, that's Poland out of lane 5. They're into the second quarter, approaching the 1,000-meter mark, and Switzerland looks to be gaining a little bit of momentum. They're at 35 strokes per minute, but moving nicely through the water, and we'll see if they can break away from France and Poland.
Switzerland moving well, and Italy still up there at the front of the field. It's Tommaso Molinari in the stroke seat, Arturo Rutta in the bows. This is their international debut here in the Under-23 Championships at Racice. So first time we've seen them on the international stage, and they're holding it well in the semi-final ahead of crews with more experience racing at international level. This Swiss crew in second place currently have raced on the senior circuit this year with a 4th place in the first World Cup in Zagreb, 10th place in the second World Cup in Lucerne. So they've had a little bit more practice in the run-up to this championships, and it's holding them well there in second place. So through 1,000 metres, Italy still hold on to the lead, but just by 0.3 seconds ahead of Switzerland. France now almost a second ahead of Poland.
Yeah, it's a nice look for Switzerland, isn't it, as they put their bow just ahead now of Italy. It's Switzerland not in the picture currently, but Switzerland out of lane 1. Good look from them, a little bit patient in the first 1,000, but that patience has paid off because they've found another level, and they've now put themselves in a position to lead this race with the Italians running second. And then over to lane 3, that's France running third. Certainly not to be left out, though, is Poland. Again, just 3 slots to qualify, and such a critical part of the race, mid-third 500.
Yeah, this third 500's working out really well for that Swiss crew. They've moved on up over the rest of the field. France now moving well as well. They're down at 34 strokes a minute, a bit lower than the other crews. The Swiss crew up at 36, the Italians at 38. Here in with the Swiss crew, Rafael Almuda Island holding that really well in the stroke seat. And here's the battle for that second place. France are challenging Italy so hard right now. They've just managed to get their bow ball ahead. The Italians had that early lead. They had a really gutsy start, but they're now being rode down by the rest of the field. They're also a little bit under pressure by the Polish crew, who are just above them.
Yeah, I think that's right. Italy, in fact, will have to just keep an eye out for Poland. It's Poland who's moving a bit faster through the water. Poland at 37 strokes per minute. The Italians up at 38. As they move through that final checkpoint, then we get a look at times. It was Switzerland, France, Italy, but a charging Polish crew looking to capture that third qualifying position. This race is heating up, Rob, as it comes down the line. They're charging towards the 250. All eyes, I think, on Poland. Can the Italians hold them off?
Yeah, they're posing quite a threat, that Polish crew, aren't they, from lane 5. They were late at the start and got a yellow card, but they might not be too late down to the finish line. But at the moment, it's Switzerland ahead of France, ahead of Italy for those qualification spots.
Ano, druhé semifinále, které teď sledujeme a zatím Švýcaři na první pozici. Relativně pohodlnou výchozí pozici mají také Francouzi, kteří jsou na úrovni Švýcarů. Tohle je přetahovaná o první a druhé místo. V každém případě platí, že opět i z tohoto druhého semifinále z dvojskifu lehkých vah do mistrovství světa a finálové šestice postupují 3 nejrychlejší. Aktuálně tedy Švýcaři, Francouzi a Italové, kteří mají větší rozestup a zatím tedy aktuálně na třetí pozici Poláci. Uvidíme, co v souboji Itálie versus Polsko o třetí postupové místo.
So Switzerland in lane 1 leading the way down ahead of France in lane 3, but France making a really good push as well. But who is going to take that third and final qualification spot between Italy and Poland? It's going to be quite a battle. It's going to be France, though, who come through to take first spot. What a great push from that crew. France take first place ahead of Switzerland, who are a length behind in second. Third place is going to go to Poland in lane 5. A late charge from them, but what a good one. They timed it absolutely perfectly. The Poles taking that final qualification spot. So that means that they've pushed Italy outside into the B finals. Just awaiting final confirmation of that. But France in first, Switzerland in second, Poland in third. They're through to the A final where they'll meet Germany, Ireland and Belgium.
Reprezentace Polska, která ztrácela před posledním mezičasem ještě výrazněji na Italii. Italové ale nakonec neudrželi tempo v ideálním rozpoložení a končí až na nepostupovém 4. místě, stejně jako Nizozemci a zástupci Spojených států amerických. A to znamená, že ze druhého semifinále skifu, respektive dvojskifu mužů lehkých vah postupují z první pozice Francouzi. Ze druhého místa uvidíme ve finálové šestici Švýcary a také Poláky, kteří nakonec sami pro sebe urvali postupové 3. místo.
We're now moving on to the first of the semi-finals in the men's single sculls. In lane 1 is Javier Insfran of Paraguay. Lane 2, Tristan van der Busch of Belgium. In lane 3, representing Belarus, Yevgeny Zalati. In lane 4, from Poland, Piotr Plominski. In lane 5, Hungary, Bence Zelenka. And in lane 6, for the USA, William Legenzowski. So the start taking place just a couple of minutes ago. They're now down around 400 meters or so. And let's find out who's leading the way in what looks a fairly tight formation here.
Yeah, it's fairly tight, Rob. And leading the way right now is Piotr Plominski for Poland. He had a really clean start. Reasonably high rating, and it's given him this advantage coming through the first timing marker. He's got almost a length over the rest of the field. Closest to him, the sculler from Belarus, Yevgeny Zalati. That's the 1-2. Third place right now is Hungary's Bence Zelenka.
And a nice look then of out of lane 4. That's our Polish sculler and our leader, Piotr Plominski. He's got just about a length or so advantage then back to Belarus out of lane 3. Then it's lanes 5 and 2. So yeah, Rob, quite the formation. You can see that formation start to close just a bit. It's 3 crews to advance to final A, and it's looking at the moment like there's 5 in contention. The only athlete perhaps a little bit off the pace, that's William Legenzowski of the USA, who rose at Brown University. But a beautiful look here then at the full field, and margins pretty consistent, Kat, as they come through 750.
Yeah, through 750, Peter Plominski still leading the way, the 20-year-old from Poland. We've seen him race on the World Cup circuit this year. He finished in 9th place at the first World Cup in Zagreb and 10th place in Sabaudia at the 3rd World Cup. He's had a great preparation in the run into this championships. Alongside him and closest to him, Yevgeny Zalati of Belarus, the 21-year-old. He's raced in crew boats before at championships level at the under-23 champs in 2018, a 12th place finish in the men's quad. Here he's taking it on in the single scull, moving really well, holding off this charge coming from Belgium's Tristan van der Busch.
Yeah, that's a nice long 34 strokes per minute and good power from the sculler from Belarus. It continues to be, though, Poland holding that advantage at a solid 36 as he moves into the second half of the race. So the critical third 500, we'll see if any of these positions can change. The Polish sculler first to get to the 500. As we've just seen, he was first to cross into the second half, so it's looking good for him. Belarus holding on to that second place advantage. That's Belgium then running third, and then over to Hungary, perhaps starting to tighten up a little bit in the third quarter. So we'll see if the sculler from Belarus has another gear. He's at a long 35, a lot of power into the back half of the stroke, but looking pretty good for these three to qualify at the moment.
Yeah, it does look good, doesn't it? And so far, sitting in third place of these three potential qualifiers, Tristan van der Busch of Belgium. He's another one we've seen racing on the senior circuit this year, 11th place in the Lucerne World Cup. He's 20 years of age. In the last championships, junior championships in 2019, he picked up a silver medal in the men's singles sculls. So here, I'm sure he'll be hoping to book a place in the A final. It's looking pretty good for him right now, with a gap starting to form back to fourth place and the Hungarian sculler Bence Zlenka.
And a nice look then at our top two leaders. So that is the Polish sculler Piotr Plomnicki out of lane 4 with a good length or so over the sculler Zalate of Belarus. So a nice press, good swing, that rhythm really working for him just nicely as he looks towards the final quarter, that 500-meter marker. So the field quite a bit spread out in this semifinal A-B. So looking to advance to final A, just 3 crews will get by. And barring any big upsets or charges from the crews in the back of the pack, it's looking like Poland, then Belarus, and Belgium will make it through with just 400 meters to go. A nice press from the USA that brings William Leganowski into 4th place, with Hungary running 6th. Then out of lane 1, it's over to Paraguay. So Rob, as these athletes then come down through the line, I think barring any big changes, we know who will advance on. So it's looking good for Poland. His job is to just stay out of head Belarus and Belgium as well, the 1, 2, 3.
It does indeed, and as you rightly say, there's quite a gap now developing between Belgium in in third, and the new 4th place team, the USA, have overtaken Hungary to drop back to 5th. So leading the way now, it's Plomnicki of Poland ahead of Zalati of Belarus and van der Busch of Belgium.
Skiff mužů a první semifinále, které můžeme vidět v podání i Piotra Plomnickiho z Polska, který se zatím vede náramně, protože vedl ve všech jednotlivých měřených mezičasech a zatím je stále na první pozici. Pokud se podíváme také na Běloruse Zalatyho, to je závodník, který zatím je na 2. místě s rozdílem zhruba 1 lodi, nakonec tedy 10 metrů. Uvidíme, jak to bude vypadat a jak se situace bude vyvíjet také v naprosté závěrečné části tohoto semifinálového boje. Na 3. pozici zatím Belgičan, který už dokázal být druhý na mistrovství světa juniorů v roce 2019. Teď tedy dojezd první semifinálové jízdy.
Yeah, Plomnicki is heading down. He wants to take this and make a marker ahead of tomorrow's final from lane 4. He's still looking very comfortable, but there's a challenge coming in from alongside him from the Belarus crewman Zalati, but he's going to take second. It's Plomnicki from Poland in first, Zalati of Belarus in second place, and third place in lane 2, van der Busch of Belgium. They are our 3 finalists from this first semi-final of the men's single sculls.
3 nejrychlejší uvidíme ve finále a platí to pro Poláka Piotra Plomnickiho, který byl letos 2krát v elitní desítce ve 2 závodech světového poháru. Navíc je to také 6. skifař ročníku 2019 a juniorského mistrovství světa. Polský reprezentant tedy postupuje z první pozice se ztrátou 1 vteřiny a téměř 7 desetin na 2. místě Juhany Zalaty z Běloruska a jako 3. potom van den Brusche, to je belgický skifař, který dokázal udržet 3. místo poměrně pohodlně před závodníky ze Spojených států, Maďarska a také Paraguaje, kteří končí od 4. do 6. místa ve finále B. Polsko, Bělorusko a Belgie má tedy své zástupce ve finále A, konkrétně skifu mužů z prvního semifinále.
The second semi-final of these men's single sculls will be contested by Brazil's Thomas Levy in lane 1. Martin Zakalo of Uruguay is in lane 2. Emil Nekov of Bulgaria is in lane 3. Bastian Secher of Denmark, lane 4. Jonas Gelsen, Germany, in lane 5. And Louis Schulte of Switzerland in lane 6. Underway just a short while ago. Everyone off to a really clean start as we zoom in on Thomas Levy here from Brazil in lane 1. He's got his work cut out. A strong set of crews here. And how are they now going? Around 200, 300 metres?
Yeah, that's right, Rob. The Brazilian sculler really did make a fantastic start. It was a fast-moving, high-rating start, and it's given him an advantage through the first stages of this race. And then after about 200 metres gone, the Bulgarian sculler, Emil Nekov, started to make his move through the Brazilian, and it's now Nekov from Bulgaria who leads through 750 metres. Nekov, a really successful sculler at junior level, 5th place in the 2019 Junior Championships, taking part in the Senior World Cup this year as well, and finishing 18th in the Zagreb First World Cup.
And quite the race developing, Kat, just behind them. So we see the Brazilian sculler out of lane 1, and then, yes, our leader, the Bulgarian sculler, Emil Nekov, out of lane 3. The Bulgarian sculler perhaps just starting to break away, but on the right side of the picture, you can see the rest of the bows just able to maintain contact as they approach the halfway point. So it's just 3 to advance to the A final. Several of these boats in contention, but a nice second quarter for Nekov from Bulgaria.
Yeah, we're going to see this camera pan round. We'll see exactly what those gaps are. It's really close between the second place sculler right back to the 5th place sculler. So trying to choose 3 for the semi-finals at this point, it's not easy to predict. Germany have got a debut here from Jonas Gelsen. He's throwing in lane 5, currently riding in 4th place, just back from Denmark in 3rd place. Jonas Gelsen, the German under-23 championships in the men's single sculls. He won that in Essen back in June this year, and it's his first time racing at international level. He's in the yellow boat at the top of the picture, just pushing the Danish sculler Bastian Secher for 3rd place. The Brazilian, after that exuberant start, has held on to 2nd place, and he just looked over to his left. He can see the Danish sculler and the German. We've got 4 boats fighting it out for 3 places in the A final.
It's an incredible shot, isn't it? So our clear leader, the Bulgarian sculler, Emil Nekov, holding on to that advantage. Of course, he can see the charging field behind him, but on the right side, bows 4 and 5, that's Denmark and Germany having a bit of a battle and rowing nearly exactly at the same moment. Identical stroke rates, well, 37 for Denmark, 38 now for Germany. So we'll have an eye on those 2 crews. And then out of lane 1, Brazil, yes, he had the fast start, but we'll see if he can hold the pace. And in fact, seems that he's maybe falling a little bit off the pace as these 3 crews start to solidify their places for the A final.
Yeah, the Brazilian sculler just starting to slip off the pace here. He started out so hard, and I think that's perhaps cost him through this 3rd quarter of the race. Emil Nekov still up there in the lead, and moving up with him, the Danish sculler and the German, Bastian Secher and Jonas Gelsen. They're going to come through 15 metres now with a bit of a gap forming back to 4th place. So here comes the Bulgarian, Emil Nekov, son of Rumiana Nekova. She's his coach. Great dynasty of sculling in this family. And he's bringing it home at the front of the race ahead of this newcomer from Germany, Jonas Gelsen. Jonas Gelsen just a fraction of a second ahead of the Danish sculler Bastian Secher. He's raced on the World Cup circuit this year, Rob, finishing 7th in Sabaudia in the 3rd World Cup. These are the 3 scullers at the front of the field. They're starting to move away now from the rest. And here, focusing on the picture, it's Emil Nekov at the front of the field from Bulgaria.
Yeah, Thomas Levy of Brazil, I think, went out too hard. He's now gone. He's out of the picture. He's 6 seconds adrift of the leader, 5 seconds or so behind Secher of Denmark in 3rd place. Gelsen of Germany in 2nd, but it's Nekov of Bulgaria who's leading the way.
Aktuální situace druhého semifinálového souboje a v tuto chvíli po 6 minutách a 10 vteřinách můžeme vidět na první pozici Bulhara Emila Nejkova, který chce být také mezi 3 nejlepšími, kteří postoupí do finále. Emil Nejkov, který má za sebou velké úspěchy, 5. místo na juniorském mistrovství světa, letos byl 18. na světovém poháru v Zábřehu a stále tedy drží první pozici. Na druhém místě pak můžeme vidět další závodníky, konkrétně je to Dán, na 3. pozici Němec, tak tohle to jsou ti 3, kteří pokud by udrželi nastavené tempo, tak nebudou chybět ve finále světového šampionátu kategorie do 23 let.
So a little extra push from the Bulgarian. He doesn't want his first place spot challenged here. He's going to take it in first place ahead of a really good row here from the Danish man in lane 4, Bastian Secker, and across in lane 5, a really good finish from Germany's Jonas Gelsen to assure his qualification for the A final. So it's Neikov of Bulgaria in first, Secker of Denmark in second, and Gelsen of Germany third. They are through to the A final of the men's singles sculls.
Máme potvrzenou trojici z druhého semifinálového souboje, konkrétně tedy skifařů mužů. Emil Nejkov z Bulharska na první pozici, na druhém místě za několik okamžiků uvidíme také Bastiana Sechera z Dánska, to je závodník, který byl také 7. v závodě světového poháru v letošním roce, to je zatím jeho nejlepší výsledek. Můžeme se podívat ale také na trojku a to je Jonas Gelsen, další ze zkušených závodníků, tedy zkušený v kategorii do 23 let. Samozřejmě stále velmi mladý, protože pozorujeme nastupující generaci, ta generace, kterým by rozhodně mohla patřit v budoucnost třeba na olympijských hrách v roce 2024 v Paříži. Emil Nejkov, Bastian Secher a Jonas Gelsen, 1., 2. a 3. místo, tedy postup do finále skifu mužů.
So on to our last semi-final before we break ahead of the B and the A finals this afternoon. It's the semi-finals of the women's single sculls. Lining up here from the USA in lane 1 is Anna Matters. In lane 2 from Italy, Linda De Filippis. In lane 3 from South Africa, Catherine Williams. In lane 4, Germany, Alexandra Förster. In lane 5, Ireland, Alison Bergen. And in lane 6, the Czech Republic, Anna Shandruskova. So they got underway just a short while ago, early stages. How is this one shaping up, Kat, Colleen?
At the front of the course here through this first timing marker, Rob, it's shaping up nicely for Germany and nicely for South Africa. It was a South African sculler, Catherine Williams, who led out of the blocks. She had a fast start, a good clean start. It gave her an early advantage, but that's been made back up now by the German Alexandra Förster. Förster at just 30 strokes a minute. She's settled into a race pace at a pretty low rhythm here, but she's so powerful, so long in the water. It's beautiful fluid sculling, and that's taken her just ahead of Catherine Williams into this second quarter of the race. These two scullers now almost a length ahead of the rest of the field. Closest to them is Ireland's Alison Bergen. She was 1.75 seconds back at 500 metres, and that equates to just over a length in a sculling race. She's there in third place, and fourth place is Italy's Linda De Filippis.
Yeah, it's a nice, long, powerful stroke, isn't it, Kat, as they come through the 1,000-meter mark. So it's Germany continuing to lead. That's Alexandra Förster of Germany. But yeah, at a strong 30 strokes per minute, nice and long. Maybe she's kicked it up a little bit. We see just sheer power, swing, good blade placement, really clean sculling as they come through. Closest to us in the right side is the Italian sculler. That's Linda De Filippis. And she's doing everything she can, I think, to keep that contact with the sculler from South Africa, perhaps taking a little bit of a charge here, but that's the 1, 2, 3 as we come through the second quarter.
And up there in that first place, Alexandra Förster, just 19 years of age. She was the world champion at junior level in the last Junior World Championships in 2019. She went for Olympic qualification this year, finishing 6th, so not quite making it, but she managed a 7th place finish in the European Championships back in Varese, so making this great transition up from junior level. And through halfway, she's got a 1.28 second advantage over the 21-year-old from South Africa, Catherine Williams. Italy's Linda De Filippi is currently in that third place, and we're looking for 3 of these scullers from the field to qualify for the A final tomorrow.
And a nice look then at the 1, 2, 3, Germany, South Africa, Italy. But as you can see, out of lane 5, charging Ireland then contests for that position as well. So a bit of a battle then happening between Ireland out of lane 5. That's the Czech Republic out of lane 6. It's Ireland currently with the advantage over the Czech Republic. So the Italian sculler will have to keep an eye. She's able to hold on to one of those qualifying positions behind Germany and South Africa. But that battle happening between lanes 5 and 6 that we can see just ever so close, Kat, as they come through this third stretch.
Yeah, it's really close. These 5 scullers really still in touch with the possibility here of qualifying for the A final. And it's Anna Szandruczkova from the Czech Republic up there in that top lane who's really started to move on up. She's moved through Ireland's Alison Bergen, and she's now got Linda De Filippi from Italy in her sights. Szandruczkova has come out of the pair with Pavlina Flamenkova. They've raced on the senior circuit this year. She's jumped into the singles, spending a few weeks preparing for this championships. A real talent from the Czech Republic, champion at junior level in the women's pair back in 2019, and picking up a silver from the Zagreb World Cup this year in the women's pair also. So making the transition from pairs rowing into sculling for this championships. And she's in a nice position here to sprint for a place in the A final.
So close then. Germany continues to hold, South Africa holding on to the second place position, but the sculler from the Czech Republic, the locals will be thrilled to see that she's put her bow now ahead of the Italian as they come through the final 500-meter mark, ever so close. Germany, South Africa, then over to the Czech Republic, shaping up to be an incredible sprint, Rob, I think, as they come through just through the 500, about 400 meters to go. It's Germany, South Africa, the Czech Republic, the Czech sculler still moving. Will she overtake the South African now into the final 300 meters or so?
That is a phenomenal move from Szandruczkova. She looked out of the picture, I thought, just a little bit earlier, but now in contention, not only for an A final spot, but maybe even taking second place here ahead of South Africa's Catherine Williams. But it's really close coming down to this finishing line. Still Alexandra Fuster of Germany ahead of Williams of South Africa, and then Szandruczkova of the Czech Republic in third.
Česká reprezentantka Anna Szandruczková, která teprve oslavila letos 10. února 20. narozeniny, takže jí čekají ještě další sezóny v kategorii do 23 let. Jede skvěle v té třetí části, posunula se po kilometru z 5. pozice až na 3. postupové místo, které je hodně důležité pro to, aby závodnice byly ve finále v souboji o medaile. 1., 2. a 3. místo se počítá. Zatím na 1. pozici Němka Alexandra Fosterová, Catherine Williams z Jihoafrické republiky na 2. místě. Anna Szandruczková dál a dál bojuje. Aktuální situace pro českou reprezentantku. Stále to vypadá na postupové skvěle 3. místo.
It's a thrilling finish, this one. No one's out of it yet. Everyone is still pushing for the line. Still Germany heading down in first place from lane 4. Can the Czech athlete Szandruczkova over in lane 6 hold on to that second or third spot? But there's a challenge coming in here from lane 3, South Africa's Catherine Williams. It looks now that we probably have got that final 3. Lane 5, Alison Bergen from Ireland is going to miss out. Across the line, it's Germany taking first place ahead of South Africa in second, and the Czech Republic in lane 6 in third place. What a finish from her. What a race from the Czech athlete. Fuster of Germany first, Williams of South Africa second, Szandruczkova of the Czech Republic in third. They are our A finalists from this semi-final of the women's single sculls.
Velká radost a velká úleva a zároveň skutečně skvělá zpráva pro české diváky a české fanoušky. Česká reprezentantka Anna Szandruczková se dokázala probojovat z toho velmi těžkého semifinále číslo 1 až do velkého finále mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let. V téhleté super nabité konkurenci obsadila v semifinále 3. místo za německou reprezentantkou a reprezentantkou Jihoafrické republiky, konkrétně Alexandra Forster na 1. a Catherine Williamsová na 2. místě. Teď už můžeme vidět unavenou, ale rozhodně šťastnou Annu Szandruczkovou, která postupuje do finále skifařek žen.
So our final race before we break for lunch ahead of the B and A finals this afternoon. It is the second semi-final of the women's single sculls. The lineup sees Russia in lane 1 with Anastasia Lubitsch. In lane 2 from France, Audrey Feutry. In lane 3, Switzerland, Aurelia Maxima Janssen. In lane 4, the Netherlands, Bente Boonstra. In lane 5 from Great Britain, Lauren Henry. And in lane 6, Austria, Johanna Christoph. That was the start a few moments ago. They're approaching 750, 800 meters or so. What sort of shape is this race taking?
Well, the shape at the front is very symmetrical between these two leading scullers, Rob. Nothing separating them. We've got the Swiss sculler, Aurelia Maxima Janssen, and right alongside her, Audrey Feutry from France. Really, they're just going stroke for stroke together. And these two are moving really very well through this second quarter. They've got clear water over the rest of the field. Now, Audrey Feutry has raced on the senior circuit. She finished 11th in the third World Cup in Sabaudia. The Swiss sculler making her international debut here at this Under-23 World Championships. And one of the interesting things you'll notice about the Swiss sculler is she rows with Macon blades, so the kind of blades that have a symmetrical spoon either side of the loom. And it's a different technique, a different style, and quite an unusual setup to see in an international championships. But it's working so beautifully for this Swiss sculler. I really have to give her a lot of credit for using these Macon blades. And my colleague spoke to her coach earlier in the week and said, come on, why does she use these blades? You know, what's your secret? And the coach just said, look, she just prefers it that way. And what a confident move. The coach trusts her athlete. She's letting her use the equipment she wants. And it's absolutely fantastic to see her leading the way in the semi-final. So at just 26, 27 strokes a minute, she uses the feel of those Macon spoons to pick up the water and then accelerate it through. And it just gives this really beautiful fluid rowing style that's quite different to the French sculler alongside her. And credit to the French, Audrey Feutry. She's up there at 34 strokes a minute and moving on really well ahead of the rest of the field. So these two scullers now, clear water back to the third place sculler, who right at this moment is Lauren Henry. She's off camera, but she's having a battle with the Dutch sculler Bente Boonstra for that third place.
Yeah, it's an incredible remark. That's really fascinating, Kat, about the blades and that rhythm. As we saw, the Swiss sculler was down at a 26, and she's maintaining that. This is a look then at the full field. It's bow number 3, the sculler from Switzerland, bow number 2 from France. And they'll have to keep an eye out. It's Great Britain over in lane 5, posing the closest threat. So not able necessarily at this moment to overtake them, but we can see the sculler from Great Britain, that's Lauren Henry, pushing away the rest of the field to make sure that she takes one of those qualifying positions. As she's doing, though, perhaps getting a little bit closer to our two leaders.
Yeah, I saw her take a look round to her right there. She was looking over her shoulder to see what the gap is to the French sculler and the Swiss sculler ahead of her. She can see where the Dutch sculler is behind her, and I think that situation is kind of in control at this point in the race. We don't know what kind of sprint these athletes have, but the British sculler has solidified a third place right now. There's 500 metres to go, so we don't have this sewn up yet. These 4 scullers have a lot of clear water ahead of the rest of the field, so we're going to take the 3 A finalists from this group of 4. Still the Swiss sculler, Aurelia Maxima Janssen, leading 1.7 seconds ahead of France. Great Britain currently in that third A final position, but the Dutch sculler Bente Charlotte Gazinica Boonstra is in touch still there in 4th place. So Rob, here we're riding in with the Swiss sculler. She's been up at the front there since the second timing marker. She came through the French sculler in that second quarter, and she's still got this lead, and we're seeing the battle here developing for second place. It's Britain's Lauren Henry now charging for second place ahead of the French sculler.
Yeah, it's an interesting battle, isn't it? But how impressive is Janssen of Switzerland? She really is going smoothly up in front. It looks like from this angle, and it's probably a little misleading, as if Lauren Henry of Great Britain is moving well in second place. But officially, it's still Audrey Feutry of France who's in second. And don't forget Boonstra of the Netherlands putting up that challenge from lane 4.
Poslední závod a semifinále dopoledního programu, konkrétně tedy skiff žen a souboj o 3 místa zatím. Švýcarka Jansenová suverénně na první pozici, velmi dobře si bere také Britka a Francouzka. To jsou závodnice, které už by si měly pohlídat náskok, tak aby postoupily do finále. Nic už by se na tom nemělo měnit ani z pohledu nizozemské reprezentantky, která v tuto chvíli ztrácí na dvojici, která je na 2. a 3. místě zhruba 10, možná 8 metrů. Teď už se nám to trošku dramatizuje, v každém případě se dostáváme do cílové rovinky, do posledního semifinálového souboje dopoledního programu.
It's going to be a really tight finish, and it looks like Lauren Henry has pushed ahead really well over on the far side, but it's going to be Janssen of Switzerland putting in an extra push to the line. She takes first place. Lauren Henry of Great Britain seals her place in the final in second spot, and taking third spot in lane 2, Audrey Fettry of France, just hanging on there, pushing out Boonstra of the Netherlands, so she will be contesting the B final along with Lubitsch of Russia and Christoph of Austria. So it's Janssen of Switzerland in first, Henry of Great Britain in second, Fettry of France in third. They will join Germany, South Africa and the Czech Republic in the final of the women's single sculls.
Potvrzeny ze semifinále číslo 2 3 skifařky, které nebudou chybět ve velkém finále v souboji o medaile na mistrovství světa kategorie do 23 let. Švýcarka Jansenová, Britka Henryová a Francouzska Fettryová, to jsou závodnice, které to zvládly skutečně po celou trať, po celé 2 kilometry. Co se týká Nizozemky, Rusky a Rakušanky, závodnice na 4., 5. a 6. místě, tak jako obvykle i v předešlých semifinálových soubojích 4., 5. a 6. místo do finále B. Ještě jednou tedy opakujeme mezi tím, co sledujeme Britku, která to zvládla ze 2. pozice, že Švýcarka, Britka a Francouzska doplní předcházející trojici ve finále mistrovství světa.
So that wraps up a really enthralling first session here on day 4 of these 2021 World Rowing Under-23 Championships from Racice in the Czech Republic. Fabulous conditions here today. It's hot and sunny, hot for the crews contesting, lovely for those of us watching. And thanks to Kat Holloway and Colleen Saville for their wonderful commentary. They'll be back with us later this afternoon. Also to my colleague here, Mira Lentz in the tower alongside me. So this afternoon, kicking off at 2:30 local time. It's now just come up to 1 o'clock local time. So in an hour and a half, we'll get underway with our B finals in the lightweight men's pair. And then our A finals get underway just after 3 o'clock with the women's and the men's coxed fours. Not often we get a chance to see them in action. And then it's A finals all the way through to 5 o'clock. The last one of them being the women's quadruple sculls. So lots to look out for this afternoon, getting underway here at 2:30 local time, about 98 minutes away from now.
Labé Arena Racice se těší na další skvělé výkony také českých reprezentantů a reprezentantek. Takové byly v tuto chvíli finálové jízdy, ne finálové jízdy o medaile, ale finálové jízdy o další pořadí. My se společně s vámi těšíme ve 14 hodin a 30 minut nejprve na finále s označením B a od 15 hodin a 5 minut na finále A. To znamená, že poprvé se dostaneme dnes v rámci 4. dne světového šampionátu také na stupně vítězů a stupně vítězek. V akci budou také čeští reprezentanti. Aktuálně 1 hodina, za 90 minut ve 14 hodin a 30 minut jsme zpátky na startu. Děkujeme za vaši pozornost, hezké odpoledne a za 1,5 hodiny se těšíme společně s vámi.